What's up, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, BallietBran here. Got the weekly stream as always. And today we've got a lot to talk about. The beautiful thing about Hex and cryptocurrency, right? Sorry about that. Let me turn that down. Is that it never sleeps, right? Crypto is 24/7, and I love that. So anyways, let me just say what's up to the chat. We'll do the little intro, and then once again, we'll cover any comments, questions, and then go over all of the good stuff. A red squirrel, brand time, completion fails. What's up? What's up, family? How's everyone? Doing great. Rent GT, we got yeah. It was like that Oprah meme, like you get a car, except you get a mod. So back in the day, threw out a whole bunch of hammers. So much deserved. Freddie quotes, love me some Brand, love me some Freddie. Definitely go check out his songs. Once again, interviewed a Hexagon musician last night, Rock Edison. Skipped the first 2 minutes because I had a little bit of audio and feedback from another source that I was confirming the audio was good. So anyways, Jim Rat Crypto, definitely go check him out on, what is it, like official Pulsification. So that's Joker's channel turned into, I guess like a brand or something that he's kind of doing really well over there. So cheers to him and everyone else. Completion fails. Did everyone claim /mint your free Hedron? I did. We can go over that a little bit later. I'll dispute any of the FUD that's going on. And once again, just, hey, free money is free money, right? And as a Bitcoiner, I claimed my free Hex and then sold that Bitcoin for Ethereum and then averaged in on the AA. So I don't see why people wouldn't be doing such things. And once again, we'll dispute some of the FUD because facts are facts. And, you can't, you have to speak that truth to people that aren't speaking it. So anyways, haha, you bet your bippy. Anyways, let me say what's up to the rest of the chat. Nice to see you, Red Squirrel. We got Crypto7. I'd love to do another stream with you sometime. So many people to do streams with in such little time, right? Let me mute the notifications there. Sandra, thank you for this, bro. Awesome. Nice to see you, Sandra. Great to see you. Rent GT, we live. Evangelos Taxi Arcus says, hi, how are you, young Hexter? I'm doing great. Okay, yeah, run that intro. All right, let's do it. 1 second here. All right, boys and girls, intro time.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey, hey, oh. Hey, yeah. Say hey, boom. Say hey, yeah. Say hey, hey. Woo-hoo. Stake that hick, stake that hick. 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 Yeah. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
Awesome. What's up, everyone? Let me just say what's up again to the chat real quick. Any of the people I didn't get to cover: Hexagon Sweat, Benny Blanco, Polster Bader. Yeah. Hey, gas is definitely something, just like in the real world, right? Constantly changing. Pulse Maniac. Yes, Bran. Let's see who else we got. Paola Rosa. Yeah. Nah, Dan, you're fine. You're totally fine. What a mod fest. I'll try and behave myself. I smell Hex and Candy. Thank you so much for your constant info and update. That's from Jafed Leads Crypto Spotlight. Okay, yeah, so let's get into it. What do we have to cover today? I mean, the Pulsex sacrifice finished. I know I made a separate video about that earlier when the OA had sacrificed, but now it's completely finished. Don't be one of those peeps that delays PulseChain, that delays some of this stuff by late sacrificing for Pulsex. Once again, you should have followed the rules and should have sacrificed when it was actually time for sacrificing. You had like 2 months or something to do that. Let me go over to pulsex.com and kind of just see. Let's just kind of see what's going on over here. Thank you, Jafed. So nice to see you. Once again, let me come over here and just share the screen right quick and kablam. Okay, cool. So yeah, once again, the sacrifice phase is over. PulseX will launch soon. Just a little bit of silence right there for everyone to see that. Once again, PulseX will launch soon. Let me emphasize this in case some of you peeps don't get it. PulseX will launch soon. I'm excited for that. That means PulseChain will launch soon. That means that the network itself is it's getting closer to launch day or night, whatever time it is, every single second that passes by. And that's a absolutely beautiful thing to see, right? I know a lot of us have been waiting very patiently. And just like with Hex, for those that weren't in Hex on day one and kind of before day one and stuff, that there was a meme of, Richard, when is Hex going to be released? 4 more weeks. And it was 4 more weeks for about 9 to 12 months. Anyways, a lot of us know the PulseChain and some of these things as well have kind of been, a lot of us have been patiently waiting, which is awesome. And that patience will be rewarded. So once again, it's very amazing to see that, it says PulseX will launch soon. Let's just see if there's anything. Yeah, let's just see if there's anything new here. I don't really see anything new on this. I know Richard has shared some photos, which we'll go over. I'll be honest, I don't know much when it comes to those photos. That's why the chat can always help and we can read it together, because I read it last night and didn't understand all of it. So Trayvon also did have a really good video, Trayvon James, of the PulseX. It's like X PulseX. So we'll get into that in just a few seconds here. Wrenchy T, maybe, yeah, because I guess we're not doing Nights of Intro anymore, is what I've been told. So I'll do that as the outro, I promise. Just remind me, and I promise I'll do that as the outro. I don't want to take any much more time without being concise, and everyone's already waited this long. So we'll do it as the outro. Just remind me, please. Michael, my online ghost. Marion, hey, she says, what's up, Bran? Not much, just a nice cloudy day here in Seattle. What else we got? Boner Kid, or never mind, not going to say all of it, but nice to see you, Renab. You know who you are. What's up, Wills Only? Nice to see you, bro. Cheers to you. Super Zapper says, hi, do you think, do you think price Hex will go up due to 50 billion sacrifice ? This year, Hex performance during bear market and stock crash. The thing that I love about Hex, and I was onboarding someone yesterday. I talk about how I used to work for CenturyLink when I kind of moved into this area, specifically the east side. And one of the guys, his name was Leon. That's all I'm going to say, is that he used to own a, jewelry store, gold and silver and precious metals. Kind of got me interested, at least at the time, into certain investments and entrepreneurship and owning businesses. And anyways, met up with him last night, and the guy already wants to put in $10,000 into Hex, and he's asking like, man, how do I do this? Can you just be a broker, and can you just do it for me and stuff like this? And I'm trying to teach him from like the new system, or from the old system to the new system, that hey, it's not how it works. Anyways, so constantly onboarding, right? People are seeing that Hex is a success left and right. As far as this question, without me rambling too much, I love that it is decorrelated. And to answer your question, yes, I see the rest of crypto going, down or continuing a bear market, and Hex continuing to have, pumpamentals and price performance. Shay Ferrer says, hey, Bran, how are you? I'm doing great. Doing actually really good. Got a workout before this. Got some hydration in, and, I love doing these streams. Once again, it's something that when I was talking with Rock Edison last night, he had said that the music that he creates is like a zen for him, or kind of like something to relax and do. And honestly, that's kind of how these streams are for me. So once again, I really enjoy it. I'm doing great. SJ Reed Sci-Vibe, yeah, definitely go check out her channel. She's another Hexican that's doing, she's covering some of the Sci-Vibe book, and she's actually putting out quite a bit of content there. So definitely go check her out, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And once again, it's cool that someone like Richard, I mean, he created his self-help book a long time ago, and pretty much even when he was a Bitcoin maxi, I'm pretty sure he had it, out available, because I remember it was available a long time before Hex. Hi, Bran. Heads up, there's going to be some events for the SX. I think that's like South by Southwest, maybe, in Austin after the Vegas Hexpo. Good to know. Good to know. I'll definitely take a look there. What else we got? Yeah, 2 more months. Totally. Yeah, 2 more months. Exactly. Susie Q says, hi, Bran. Happy Sunday. XOXO, Purple Heart, Triple Rocket. I like it. Nice to see you, Susie. Hey. That's awesome. He says, let's see, Crypto 7, I accidentally sacked for LL. Good for you. Let's see, the Mango Junkie. Who else we got? Let's see what kind of relevance we got. Look for that testnet version 3 launch, and then it's time to move. Yeah, well, and it's true. And let's just come back to and once again, shout out to the 78 people watching, right? Sometimes when there's less information, there's less people watching. When there's more information, more people watching, which we'll get into in a minute here. But to Benny's point, and nice to see you, my friend. 1 second, let's scroll up a smidge. So Pulsex will launch soon, and then once again, Richard had mentioned that, like Benny's point, when you see testnet version 3, I'll be honest, Richard had mentioned a long time ago that he's not going to give a specific block height, a specific time estimate, right, for when that snapshot of the block height for the hard fork is going to be. Get your affairs in order now, right, before thinking that you're going to time the market with, maximizing your potential. As far as that actual snapshot and hard fork goes, someone else had said it, that get your darn coins off the exchanges, right? Especially if they're ERC21 based and Ethereum based, and make sure you hold that possession, because, just like you shouldn't reward apathy, if you aren't in possession of your own keys and not actually holding your own crypto, then when the fork happens, I don't even think he's going to give it to centralized exchanges like Coinbase or anything. I'm not too sure how that's going to go, but definitely. And Crypto Heartbeat, I see you there. I'll scroll down in just a second. Thanks, bro. But anyways, yeah, don't be apathetic. Get your stuff in order now. No excuses. And that way you're not one of those people complaining to Richard on Twitter about how you didn't get the airdrop. Okay. Arte Suave Angelo, what's going on, everyone? Hex Mix. Okay. Very good. Getting closer. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Let's have a look at the GitLab for any updates to testnet. Yeah. We can, maybe later. Hey, Bran, if you're up for it, perhaps we can do an interview or 2 for my new channel, Crypto Minter. It's all about crypto, Hex, PulseChain, altcoins. I want only interview content on there. Yeah. Hey, I'm totally down. We can make it happen. What else we got? Archie. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hey, people get busy and things change and stuff. But I love all those guys, and look forward to streaming with them. Hopefully sometime soon. Anyways, we got yeah, dude. Hey, what's up, Liberty? Been a minute, dude. Hope the country club's treating you well and life's treating you well. But he says, so give me Liberty or give me Hex. Says, Bran, great to see you streaming. Exciting times. It really is exciting times. I mean, once again, the misery loves company thing. You can kind of focus on doom and gloom and stuff, or you can focus on what we have at hand. And anyone that's here now that especially has a Hex or any ERC20 token, the fact that you're going to get a duplicate and a double is just awesome. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of people in here, all the classics. Yeah, I'm sure Knights will be back when PulseChain launches. I would love to, man. I really enjoyed those streams. Jenkins says, what's good, Bran? Nice to see you, Jenkins. Flex on them plebs, Mandingo. Oh yeah, another Hexican. Check him out. He's got some really good content and stuff, and I like the words. If you listen to what he's saying, the Crypto Wonder podcast is Brando Man. Great to see you. I should be. Yeah, I'm booking that hotel today and the plane ticket today. Last minute, wanted to and Jonas, hey, if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Anyways, Am I going to the NASCAR thing? I'd love to. Once again, I think I need some more information on the actual tickets. But yeah, Crypto Heartbeat says looking good, Bran. Thanks, dude. Nice to see you, my brother. And yeah, once again, Crypto Heartbeat's an amazing guy. And when when Whales Only first came onto the scene, when Gerardo first came onto the scene, Jenkins, Crypto Heartbeat, Rags to Riches, right? It was kind of like a pivotal moment where you have like plateau, right? You're kind of walking up a mountain, you kind of get some plateau where you're going sideways. And then those guys, in my opinion, helped really break through and kind of help a lot with the community. So anyways, let's see. Completion. Hey, how's it going, Bran? How's everyone doing? Doing great. And yeah, Kevin, I know Optimus Kevtron, I know you said that you were going to be doing some streams. I need to check out your channel if you've done any of those. But either way, I would love to do some more stuff in the future. Okay, cool. All right. Well, so cool. Let's get right into it. The chat will be never ending if we don't get into some of the information. So let's come over here to Richard's tweet. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the comments because once again, I want to. And hey, Yandam Hakaj or Hokage. Hopefully, I didn't just butcher that. But nice to see you. Says greetings from Kuwait. So good to see you. Okay, let's come back over here and let's do one of these things. So this is some pretty cool stuff, right? And when we see that, hey, Pulsex.com is saying that the PulseX is going to launch soon. Well, when Richard's posting updates like this, which we're going to get into in a second, and once again, I do want to hear some feedback from the people in the comments of what this means, because to be honest, we're just going to read it and kind of see what it means from there. But let's just take a look here. Richard says, and this was, let's see, this was a couple days ago at 4:30 a.m. Says, PulseX.com screenshots my devs have sent me. I have not reviewed them yet. Sacrifice phase ends in about 12 hours. Don't miss it. So once again, the sac phase has already ended. But let's just take a look because I'll be honest, I didn't see this until Trayvon's video. So been spending a lot less time on social media, which is quite healthy. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's zoom in a smidge. There we go. Okay, so here's what we can see. So it's saying stake the PulseX buyback pool. That's pretty cool. So stake PulseX, unstake X PulseX. Okay. 1 X PulseX equals 1.2. Let's see, 1.242367 PulseX. Interesting. So you can stake your PulseX here, and then so you got the front end for what's going to be probably go.pulsex.com, whatever it ends up being, right? And let's see what this means over here. Let's zoom in a whole bunch because that text can be really small sometimes. Okay. Stake your PulseX and receive X PulseX. By holding X PulseX, you are participating in PulseX buybacks, which are using 0.07 of trading fees to buy back PulseX and sending them to this pool. Okay. Doing so increases PulseX ratio, meaning you will be able to claim back increasingly more PulseX for every X PulseX token you are holding. So yeah, that's quite a bit. And I'll be honest, it's quite profound what Richard's talking about. And honestly, I guess, yeah, we got some more stuff that I didn't even see last night that we're going to go over as well. So let's just tab over to the next thing right here. Okay, so in this screenshot, once again, from Richard's devs, you can see a successful transaction, view on Pulse And what we see is, it went from like 20, which was what the previous photo was, right? We've got, 32.6946 all the way to 12.6946. So they staked some PulseX right there. And once again, it's saying the same thing as far as that text. That hasn't changed. They just wanted to show that, hey, they did a stake successfully. So that's really awesome. All right, let's scroll over here too and see. Let's see what kind of stuff we see. So it looks like there's and let's just go back real quick for everyone to see. So this is the staking side. And then the other side's the farm side, which we're going to go to next. Okay. So, and once again, I know Dollar Cost Crypto has talked about this, and shout out to Miguel. He does great work. He's onboarded like 7,000 hexagons. So for anyone shaming, like, dude, that guy is definitely helping a lot. So shout out to him. But anyways, what he was saying about PulseChain in general is that a lot of people that have kind of just been successful with Hex and not really, learned about any of the other cryptos as far as the actual ecosystem in space goes. They, this is something completely new, and this is something that some of these other people, I know Trayvon had mentioned, Trayvon James, that there's just different strategies that you can do with farming and with providing liquidity and all these different things that there's just going to be so much ways to do similar things. But anyways, let's get back to it real quick. So this looks like the farming section, and we've got live and we've got finished. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting once again. But what we can see is this is the yield farming looks like. So it's a Pulsex and Pulse. And then we got the APR here is 2,275.48. Liquidity is right there. And then anyways, this is kind of what the section is going to look like. We can see that the yield farming for USDC/Pulse in this example is 367.73% on APR. And once again, you can just see that, hey, the interface is done. This is the, what's it called? Like the front end user interface type of deal. And that's really exciting. Let's see what this is over here as well. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, once again, you've got the staking, you've got the farming that we covered, and now we've got some PulseX info and analytics. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so my hover zoom doesn't automatically pull up the photo. 1 second there. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So once again, this is what the user interface is going to look like when Richard says PulseChain is ready to go and mainnet's launched. You're going to be able to go over to this front end over here for PulseX and be able to stake, be able to yield farm, be able to do some of these things that we've been long awaiting. So this is kind of what it looks like. Once again, you can see the top tokens, top pools, and then down here, these are all the transactions that the devs or Richard have done. And once again, they're just showing the success. I mean, and if we scroll down here, so this tweet was done like over 2 days ago, right? Actually, I think, yeah, two and a half days ago. And so they had some successful transactions from like 5.5 days ago. So it seems that just every single day they're making more progress. And once again, it's exciting to see. Richard talks about that. Hey, we'll come over here for just a second. But Richard talks about that when you're going to launch a chain, you want to be doing it right. You want to be doing the launch of the blockchain right. And just like with Hex, so many people heard that for the 4 more weeks meme, right? And we're all like, man, Richard, when the heck's this thing going to launch? And, he's like, patience, comrade, patience, young one, we're going to launch this when it's ready, right? It's ready when it's ready. And so anyways, I feel the same way about the PulseChain here, but it's just exciting to see that it looks like a lot of it is going successfully. And once again, I really appreciate Richard instead of supplicating, I guess, to the audience that wants the chain to launch so bad. He's, being patient, making sure it's done right. And that way, the chain's just going to launch and there's going to be, like he mentioned, like watch like a 1,000 flowers blossom or something like that. Okay, let's just see if there's anything else over here and then we'll kind of say what's up to the chat. Because once again, please, if you are in the chat and you kind of know what a lot of this means, please put your input because once again, I want to hear it. And this is new, right? Or at least new for me. So anyways, okay, so, and we've got some more photos over here that we'll cover. Let's just click on it. And then, yeah, so we can see Pulse to PulseX. We've got, once again, the, adding liquidity right here, which is really cool. You can see in this example, there was 100 Pulse and then 32.8966 PulseX. And then says the share of the pool. And then once again, you can add or remove liquidity. And same thing, guys, this is in gals, this is going to be something new for a lot of us and a lot of people watching. And so you want to be educated as much as possible to make sure that you know what these functions are going to do, right? And that especially, man, the exciting thing is with, and Hex Luther, nice to see you. But the exciting thing is with PulseChain is that with Ethereum, for those of us back in the day, even like 2019, yeah, like when Hex first started, 2020, late 2019, the Ethereum fees were like pennies, right? Absolutely pennies. So you could have one Ethereum and just be totally set. And nowadays, it's obviously a lot more expensive, as we know. But I said that to say that I'm excited for the days of cheap fees again, and it's going to be amazing. There's a freepulse.io that are literally doing a faucet. They're the devs for Richard, Victor, and Felix. Yeah, Victor and Felix. And so anyways, they're they're onboarding people that maybe have Pulsex or that maybe have some other ERC20, but they don't have any PulseChain and they didn't have any Ethereum for the snapshot, and thus they can't do any transactions. So I really appreciate those guys, putting in effort, not only building beautiful websites such as this, but they're trusted. And once again, it's completely risk-free. You could literally get, I don't know if it's going to be full amounts of Pulse because that seems like a lot, but it might just be, fractions of Pulse. Anyways, let's get into the other photos here. We'll try and be a little bit more succinct about this. So we already covered those. Once again, you can add liquidity there. This is interesting. We haven't looked at this yet. So contract enabled. That's pretty cool. That's a big deal right there. Contract enabled. So that's really cool. Anyways, stake a liquidity providing tokens, LP, or a liquidity provider. So we've got, the balance here, and it looks like, so it's Pulsex to Pulse liquidity providing. And then it looks like, either confirm or cancel. And then it's saying this is blocked out, but annual ROI at current rates. So, that's really awesome to see that there's just been so much calculation and, once again, amazing work done by Richard's devs. And then over here, let me just see if because there's subsections of different photos in the comments. Let me just see if there's anything right here. So yeah, once again, Pulsex. Let me get some water here. Okay, so once again, Pulsex is a fork of Uniswap, right? And it's going to be where the liquidity is. And so and if anyone sees these Russian bots, like literal bots, not just calling people bots, please ban it. I don't want to waste my time going over to the YouTube chat, but please just permaban that person right there. But Craig Wadding is saying, what do you do for a living, as far as person asking him? And he's saying, I'm a farmer. I love it. That's just funny. But anyway, so as I was saying, is that Pulsex is going to be where the liquidity is, where the trading is, just like Uniswap is for Ethereum, and say like PancakeSwap is for Binance Smart Chain, even though I've never really used that. Anyway, so once again, you can see that we've got exchange, liquidity, so you can add or you can exchange right here. So it looks like a swap from Pulse to Hex. And then once again, slippage tolerance. Richard's talked about wanting to set the slippage on whether it's Uniswap on Ethereum or whether it's PulseChain, Pulsex on PulseChain. You want to set it to 0.05 or 0.5. That way the what is it called? Like the MEV geth, like the actual bots that are trying to arbitrage, they don't screw you over on like a worse deal. So Richard did make a separate tweet about that you guys can kind of look into separately. 1 second. Let's just see if there was anything else. I don't think there was anything else in those photos. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I don't think we've looked at this photo yet. So once again, this is a swap from Pulse to Pulsex. And then check this out. So prices and pool share. We've got, let's see. So Pulsex per Pulse, we've got, 0.32. We got a Pulse per Pulsex. And then once we've got, share a pool. And then let's zoom in down here because the text, you always got to read the fine print, okay? Let's zoom in. And then it says, by adding liquidity, you'll earn 0.22% of all trades on this pair, proportional to your share of the pool. Nice. Fees are added to the pool, accrue in real time, and can be claimed by withdrawing your liquidity. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Nice to see you, man, too. Hope you're doing well, bro. But he says our bots. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. I was saying MEV geth, but yeah, definitely those arbitrage bots for sure. Set it to 0.5 is what his recommendation was. Let me just see if there's anything that I'm missing, because once again, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then once again, this is kind of like the governance aspect of it. And let me just zoom in here. Sorry about that. The application that I have, Hover Zoom, is kind of hovering over this, which is why we'll get that going there. Okay. So once again, so it looks like we got trade, earn, and then whatever section those three dots are must be where the voting is. Let's 1 second. There's the mouse. Okay, let's scroll down. So voting, it says, have your say in the future of the Pulsex ecosystem. And then it says, make a proposal. Let's scroll down a smidge. So we've got the core, which looks like the core team, or whatever core means. And then we've got the community. So different proposals, it looks like, obviously, with subsections. So we've got, sorry, I'll get the mouse out of the way, but we've got vote now, we've got soon, and then we've got closed. So once again, that'll be really cool to see what kind of, I guess, proposals there are, whether it be from the core or the community. And then once again, you can view all. And then let's just take, I think this is the last photo. So we'll get into the chat in just a second here. And yeah, hey, I stubbed my crypto. I love that name, by the way. Nice to see you. But it says, got a suggestion. Community proposals are a great way to see how the community feels about your ideas. They won't necessarily be implemented if the community votes successful, but suggestions with a lot of community support may be made into core proposals. Okay, so once again, let's just read that over because it's important. And a lot of times you don't comprehend it the first time you read it, especially if you're just listening and you're not actually reading it. Once again, let's do that again. So, got a suggestion. Community proposals are a great way to see how the community feels about your ideas. They won't necessarily be implemented if the community votes successful, but suggestions with a lot of community support may be made into core proposals. So once again, as it said, it won't necessarily be implemented if the community votes successful, but suggestions with a lot of community support may be made into core proposals. I like that. So yep, you can make proposals right there. And honestly, I think that's it. We can stop monologuing and we can kind of just verify that is everything. Yep. We're looking at all of this real time. Let me just see what some of the feedback is from the chats here. Let's see. Whatever that noise is out there. Pulsex says, Richard Hartwin, what should I do with my pals so I become millionaire and billionaire and help all around the world as you are doing with us? You are my role model. Love you. Yeah, he's definitely a lot of people's role models, and once again, leading by example. So anyways, that was some of the some of the stuff that Richard was covering that he had tweeted from, it looks like, a couple and a half days ago. And I'm not going to share the screen right this second, but I'd be curious to see if there's some more stuff that I've missed, because once again, been spending time on other things. Let's just see in just a second if there is anything. Well, I guess without further ado, we'll just take a look at the chat and just see what people have to say. Because once again, we've got, just as with if you had Bitcoin, if you actually had possession of it, not if you had it on exchanges, but if you had Bitcoin, I think it was by like December 1st, then you could free claim. It was like 10,000 hex for each Bitcoin, but then you could also self-refer. So you'd get like 32 or 33% more bonus. But anyways, just as if you had your possession of Bitcoin, you could get free hex. Well, if you've got stakes, you can get free Hedron. So I don't see why you wouldn't do that. We'll go over that a little bit later since we got a bigger piece of the crowd. And anyways, let's keep going. So Terrafin1 says, yo fam, good to see you all. Hey, good to see you too, man. D-Biggie says, or D-Big says, nice, Richard Hart. Let's see, Richard Hart once again delivering on what he said he was going to deliver. I love it, right? You see so much, Cardano with smart contracts or Solana with XYZ. You see all these promises and, lies. That's what they are. They're lies. They're false promises, which is what a lie is. But anyways, you see all these lies and false promises from, others in the crypto space, and they're, it might as well be an actual security, right? They're telling what you want to hear, and they're telling you that they're putting in this managerial effort. So, you can hopefully have your price pump, or so that back can pump. And what I'm trying to say is that Richard is always leading by example. He's a man of his word, and what he says he's actually going to do. And so I'm really happy that instead of just letting Ethereum take a lot of our profit, right, from the staking and getting screwed over by the S-load function that Ethereum has implemented, Richard decided that, hey, if the Ethereum fees ever got too bad where it's affecting my users, then I'm going to fork Ethereum and do it better. So I'm super happy that he's done that. The wait is pretty much almost over. You can see that once again on pulsex.com. It says Pulsex launching soon. So Don't know what that means. Don't know what 4 more weeks means or 2 more months means, but soon means soon. So whatever that means to you, definitely tune in. Jerry Oaksmith says, what's up, Bran? How's it going, Jerry? Happy Sunday to you, bro. Poin Hexter says, Pulsex is the exchange and has voting. What about the chain itself, PulseChain, and the beautiful Hex? What about it? I don't know what your question is. Mark Palson, suggestion, get busy with simplex integration. Hodl for Pulsex. I like that name. Scooch this over here. Smidge. Yeah, we'll do it like that. Historically, Richard Hart prefers deflationary coins with burn mechanics built in. With the advent of the inflationary coin, do you think the inflationary coin will have hyper burn mechanic built into it? Do you think the inflationary coin will have hyper burn mechanism built into it? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Not too sure how to answer that. You have to use gas to free claim also. Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't really realize, is that blockchain itself is just kind of like that core infrastructure, the foundation of a house, right? If you want to build the rest of the house and you just have the foundation, or I guess the blockchain would kind of be like just the land, right? It's just land, you know, it's just a chain itself that's kind of censorship resistant and stuff. But yeah, if you're going to, and most I should say, but if you're going to implement a smart contract or create a crypto or all these other different things, yes, each individual transaction or thing that you're using on the network requires, gas. So that's a good point that Completion Fails makes. I did not realize Pulsex had voting. Why not Hex? Crypto7 says 40 mods, race to ban someone. Race to ban a bot. Missed my chance. I love it, dude. Much regards. Let's see. Johnny says, you want me to visit in regards to what the yield farming is? Dude, you're totally welcome, man. Yeah, dude, it's been a minute since I've seen you, bro. That would be awesome. Let me fire that away. 1 second here. Let's get you over. 1 second. CCFX. Yeah, dude. I'll totally send that to you. It's that'd be awesome. Oh, dude, this is hilarious. 1 second. I just have to share Johnny's little Twitter here. 1 second. Look at this. This is just funny. So we've got hey mate, could you point me in the direction of these Hex victims? Let's see. Let us know when you find one. But I just thought it was kind of funny, right? Because this is like the original photo, and you got all the amazing people right here, and then you got just a little Photoshop in there, which is pretty funny. But anyways, let me stop sharing the screen so I don't dox, and let me send Mr. Johnny a. Here we go. Okay, cool. Hey, just seen your last message, so appreciate you, Johnny. There. Anyways, it's in your Twitter DM if you want to come on. Totally welcome, bro. And all of us love hearing from you. Anyways, yeah, this was the one. Brand is Z-Man, so I love it. Okay, so Dan Smith is talking about Hedron right here, which once again we'll go over a little bit later. Not in a super big rush to go over it, especially if Johnny's coming on. We'll cover that in sometime in a little bit. I want to cover David Feeder's facts, logic, and wisdom against some of the false allegations and claims and slander, to be honest, about Hedron. And we'll cover that a little bit later, but once again, not right this second. He says, so he's specifically talking about Hedron here, but he's saying, claim allows you to lock in the best rate. Mint actually creates tokens and uses gas fees. Well, they both create gas fees. So claiming allows you to choose when to mint. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a difference between like the HSI stake and actually just native hex stakes. So, anyways, we'll get into that later, not right this second. Not going to cover that. Let's see. What's the difference? Okay. Thank you. Enoch. Nice to see you. Craig Wadding. Hydration. Yep. Thanks for the reminder. And you know what's funny too? I'm not going to do that in this stream. Maybe I'll do that on like an 8-hour stream like Richard does. But he power chugged. He had a not a goblet, but he had like one of these glass water cups. And anyways, there was one stream where people are like, Richard, you don't blink and you don't sip any water and don't take any bathroom breaks. But he had power chugged like 2 water things that were about this big one time in a matter of very short few seconds, which I thought was kind of funny one time on stream. So Richard's always always great, right? The other day he had like the little money gun and shooting that thing off too, which was pretty funny too. But okay, let's say what's up to the rest of the chat. Yeah. Hex Luther, nice to see you, man. Looking forward to chilling with you in Vegas. He says fire. Yeah, once again, go check out him, Joker, and Jim Rat Crypto on official Pulsification. They're doing great work, and I love the effort from the community. Once again, they're spending their own time. They're spending they're giving away the information for free, all of that, and they're doing a really good job onboarding people. So they definitely deserve that, and definitely go follow them. MT Coiner says, let's see. I always avoided farming for the most part. I did enough on Pancake to learn the basics. That's good because I honestly have never even farmed. I've got all kinds of tokens coming. I'll be jumping in headfirst when Pulse launches. Awesome. So Pulsex is higher value than Pulse. What else we got? Okay. And once again, I don't really know a whole bunch about all of this stuff, and I'm first to admit when I don't know something. So those that do, especially, I know Trayvon James once again did a really good video on some of the yield farming and some of the staking and liquidity providing and stuff. So definitely, go to people that have used other farms in the past and kind of know what they're talking about when it comes to some of that stuff. But let's see. D Big says it's not new. It's a feature seen in hourglass contracts. Some fees are gathered, more fees gathered, higher cash out value. And then he says, some examples of other stuff. I have used similar code. This is a very savvy use of existing code. Awesome. I love that. And because what Richard's doing is once again, he's just implementing everything that is successful, right? From some of these other cryptocurrencies, some of these yield farming and incentive platforms. And he's just creating all of that into one giant vertical integrated system, as he had mentioned. And, that's going to be like the Lord of the Rings, like one ring to rule them all. Well, we got like one vertical integrated system to rule them all, which is the team win system. Crypto Legacy says, hi from Australia. Nice to see you. Let's see. A little less will be burned on Pulsex, buy/burn, and 0.07 will be used to grow the liquidity pool for X Pulsex. Oh yeah, Dan, it's crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. All of the possibilities, all of the things that you can do. But he had said, I'm sure there's more gameplay coming on this. It's true, right? And as Crypto Kool-Aid says about the game theory and stuff like that. But yeah, the game theory in this goes absolutely beyond my comprehension. I'll be honest. And that's why it's nice that we've got a lot of people that understand a lot of this. And even in Richard's tweet, people are saying like, I don't understand what any of this means until K4K makes a video, which I just thought was hilarious because it's true, right? He does a really good job of explaining, I guess I don't even know what the word for it is, but he does a really good job of explaining super complex things into layman's terms, into a simple format that's easy for your average Joe, or, teach this to me like I'm 5 type of deal. And I think that that's really awesome because once again, if you know something well, then you should be able to explain it to someone very simply. And that's exactly what he does. So yeah, K4K, once again, he was another pivotal moment of just deciding to, get out there, put himself out there, make some videos. And I think the space has been, significantly better ever since and same with everyone else, right? Ever since they've started that initiation. So I really appreciate that. And I look forward to that video too, right? Because, I learned so much from K4K. So that's awesome. We got some smart peeps in this community. I tell you what. This does sound like a burn that doesn't burn. Interesting. Sounds like Pulsex platform fee will be split up a bit differently than originally thought. Okay. Pulse Debater, I appreciate you. BallietBran is the most is the most helpful Hex Pulse YouTuber. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you, friend. Surely Pulsex is a placeholder name, right? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But hey, good question. Maybe some other people can, now that it's been addressed, hopefully some other people can put their input in what they think there. This is something that's interesting. I don't think I've ever actually looked at this thing, but let's just 1 second. Let me share the screen again real quick, because this is just unique. And I think people should look at this before we get back into the chat. We'll not share tab audio. And let's, he says, Renchi T says, chat moving as fast as the Hex share rate. Ain't that the truth, man? Ain't that the absolute truth? But anyways, this is, so I've been following this, but never really looked at it, to be honest. But it's a max length stake bot. And another shout out to Hedron. That's another thing that they're going to be helping with by encapsulating stakes, which is literally what what Dev Kyle has been talking about since like absolute day one. And I will pull that up and link it for evidence, right? Not just hearsay, but actual evidence. 1 second here. Bacon wrapped Hex stakes, I believe is what it was called. There we go. Okay, so I guess we'll cover this first, and then we'll get into what Kyle had said later. And I still don't know if Johnny's going to join, but hey, take your time. We ain't going nowhere. But anyway, so once again, this address staked 1,111 Hex for Cuatro Cinco days and minted X amount of T shares. And then it says their estimated yield. Let's just take a look at this, because once again, I think this is really cool. And just check this out. Okay, these are people locking up their Hex. They're burning their Hex, and they're locking it for 5,555 days. You know how long that is? Let's 1 second. Let's bust out the calc. Cuatro Cinco divided by 365. I knew it was always 15.2, but 15.219178082191778. That's a long time. That's a damn long time. And so, as I've mentioned before, with the Godwill, right? With the Godwill staking 1 billion Hex for Cuatro Cinco. That was even before Hedron, which is once again another big deal. So he's not going to be able to end stake it either, or even sell it off early, which is once again a vote of confidence. 1 second. Who's Johnny? Can you text me? Can you just text me? I'm gonna just send me a text, bro, because I don't want to answer the phone call and make everyone wait. But send me a text. I'll turn on vibration so I can hear you. Yeah, just send me a text, please. Okay, so once again, what I wanted to cover was that, check this out. These are people staking for over 15.2 years, and the Hex is not going to, come back from the system until this length of time. So you can see 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. I mean, and once again, this is 1,111 Hex. But 15.2 something years later, that's going to be worth a pretty penny. I tell you what, especially with all this, being based in dollar and all this inflation going on. But anyways, I just wanted to share with everyone this. And then, hey, check this out. This person does 77,777 for, Cuatro Cinco days. Yeah, Johnny, I can't listen to your voicemail right now. Just we'll have to do it after the stream. Otherwise, just send me. 1 second, y'all. 1 second, y'all. Let me address Johnny's text here. We'll do what Renchi T had wanted, which was that Knights of Crypto intro. Where the hell is this? and then hopefully we can hear back from Johnny. 1 second. Let me. Okay, give me give me like 15 more seconds, everyone. I am sending Johnny the link on a text message, so it should work now. Let me make sure that is him. 1 second here. Yeah, it's got to be him, of course. 1 second here. Blam. Okay. All right, Johnny. It's sent to your cell. Hopefully we're good there. Yeah, let's come back to the chat and yeah, let's see what everyone's got here. Terrafin says Fomotley, hell yeah. Play it again. Johnny Come Lately. Classic song, man. Absolutely classic. Why do they spell nights with a K? You know, it's not like day, but it's not night, but it's like a knight, you know, with the swords and stuff. Knight. You know, just anyways, Johnny's in the back right now. Give me a thumbs up, bro, when you're ready. And anyway, so yeah, I'll let you get all set up and you know, either give me a wave or a thumbs up and stuff when you're all good. Do it again. I can't see. Or you good? Are you good, dude? Okay. All right. It looks like he's good. All right. Okay, cool. My bad, dude. I just didn't want to bring you on in case you weren't ready. Okay, 1 second. All right, everyone. We got CCFX Studios, Johnny Chaos, the one and the only, the absolute great guy. What's up, Johnny? How's it going, man? How you doing today?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, I posted on Twitter because I was talking about the yield farming thing, and people were just like so confused about it. And I see the thing is that we got so priced out of that. You know, when it was on Ethereum, we got so priced out of that. So you know, I don't like talking about it because it's like people want to jump in and do it, and then they don't realize because of the Ethereum fees of getting in and getting out and stuff like that, that it crunches up their profitability. So you can't really do it with like a couple $100. I still got like $1,000 stuck in 1-inch exchange, broken up in like $100 units, and I can't do anything with it because it would cost $200-300 to pull it out. So I don't want anybody looking at my recent tweets and going, oh, let me put $20 into that, because you're probably not going to get it back out. What's interesting though is what Pulsex is doing is the fact that that is going to actually be able to be utilized as it was intended to. And I'm excited for that, because with the penny fees, you can get in with $100 positions and you can earn yield on it. Now, again, on testnet, people can test this out and give it a try once that goes live, so they can practice with it before they just jump into it. I certainly don't recommend that anybody jumps in to yield farming and just thinks, okay, I'm just going to drop money in here and see what happens, because there are ways you can lose. It's not the same as the hex contract, which the hex contract, if you leave your hex in there, you will get more hex out when you in the stake. There's a fluctuation. How the whole liquidity mining thing works is you're providing tokens to both sides, and you're getting a percentage of the fees that are paid to you as unrealized gains. Okay, so you get a little bit of each of that fee goes into your account, and then you're able to actually remove your profit without removing your liquidity, or you can remove your liquidity and profit both. So it's a little bit more advanced, and I just don't want anybody just jumping headfirst into it, especially on the Ethereum network. You need, you know, like $4,000 or $5,000 to play around with on the Ethereum network right now. When Pulsex launches out, that's going to make that usable, like, so everybody can do it at that point. But I'm excited because there are so many different ways to earn yield on the PulseChain network, including hex, including liquidity providing, including the staking. So there's just like all these options that allow you to interact with the code to earn. So, you know, a lot of these, a lot of things that are coming up, it's like, oh, this is a different way to make money. Okay, but there's a whole lot of ways coming up to make money and yield. And Coffee put together a really good demo back when we were trading on Matic, you know, and doing some of the liquidity mining over there. So I mean, that's some place to stop or start. But again, I do not recommend people start trying to earn yield on the Ethereum network right now without knowing what they're doing, without understanding impermanent loss, you know, those kind of things. So yeah, so here I am. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Well, no, once again, I appreciate you saying that. So you had mentioned that, so you can kind of withdraw either liquidity and the reward, or just the reward separately. You were saying something about that?
Yeah, so you can't do that with Hex. So with Hex, you got to basically leave it in and wait till your stake ends. And this is another thing that people can do that are a little bit more impatient, that want like a regular yield, but there is some risk involved because the liquidity shifts. So if you've got something that's really volatile or something that doesn't succeed, you can end up with all of the coins on that one side and none of your other coin on the other side, and that's called impermanent loss. So you don't really lose anything, but that other coin going down in value ends up being the majority of your pool. And with the V3, you're actually able to set your limits to where you'll allow that to happen. I have to be honest, I haven't really played around with the limits that much because that's fairly new on how to set those limits. So that's something somebody's got to really look into too, if you want to play like on an expert level. But just providing liquidity allows you to get the fees on both sides of the coin. You know, and it works out okay. You got to know what it works for and what it doesn't work for. So, I mean, you can't just throw anything out there or make or create any pair and it work to your benefit. You need to kind of understand the predictive behavior, and in a way, you're kind of betting on what the coins are going to do. So it's not the same as just a immutable contract. It is something different, but people do get bored, and when people get bored, they do other things, and it's going to be awesome because there's a lot more of those than there are people that want to stake or want additional staking features, or there's a lot more of people that just kind of want to go in and play and move stuff around, and Pulsex is going to allow that to happen, and that's why I think it's going to be like phenomenal when it finally does drop.
Dude, I'm so excited, man. It's crazy, right? Because a lot of us that are in Hex now, or that, you know, I've been in Hex for a while and stuff. Richard had never intended on creating anything as far as another tokens, things like that. It was always like, well, I'm not going to just create something just to create it. It needs to, you know, have value and stuff. But anyways, like you mentioned, you're excited for Pulsex. And I love that those that maybe, you know, some people, it's such a fallacy, but they feel like they've missed out on Hex. And it's like, dude, that's so not true. But anyways, for those that feel that they did, hey, they had the opportunity to sacrifice for PulseChain and for Pulsex, right? That felt like they missed out on PulseChain. But anyways, what are you, can you maybe, I guess before I get into the other question, can you answer Brazology's question? And I'm guessing this is the impermanent loss, but maybe there's something else. It says, what are the ways we can lose?
Yeah, so for one, like say you pick a token that goes almost to zero, and say you pair it with USDC, okay? And you're like, oh, whatever, you know, I'm making more of this token, whatever. So what'll happen is you'll come back one day and you'll have no USDC and you'll have all of that coin. And then that coin may not have liquidity. So you would not be able to sell that coin on the market. So example here, you know, Hex versus Hedron. You could lose all of your Hex and have a big pile of Hedron because Hedron right now has such a small price to it, but that price can go lower and below a fraction of a penny, because with these automatic market makers, you can actually set limits to point, you know, beyond fractions of a penny, several digits, you know, so there's no absolute bottom, so to speak. So, you know, there's so many different ways to play it. So if you're making like a Hedron and Hex pair, you have to accept that, you know, if you don't have your limit ranges set tight, you could come back and have all Hedron or all Hex. So you have to be willing to bet.
What do you mean that if you don't have your limit ranges set tight? What do you mean
so
by that?
There's on V3 there's ranges.
Okay.
So you can move like what's the least price and what's the most price. So there's ranges you can set. There's a way to basically adjust that now. There used to not be. So when there wasn't before, basically you could just, it would just, you might have one hex left and a billion Hedron. So it would just keep going, and it would take a fraction of that hex away and add Hedron to your account. Now you can actually set with ranges. So once it's out of range, it's no longer in play. So there's a way to set ranges. So that's even more complexity. Like I said, I know the complexity's there. I played around with it a little bit, but I'm not an expert on how to move those ranges. It's just another, it's another gamification that the system is evolving, that if you don't know the rules, you can make mistakes, right? So if you're not, you have to understand that liquidity mining does have, there are some loopholes in it. There are ways that you can lose. You could end up with the other coin. So it's not as safe and secure as, and you're also not interacting directly with the contract. I mean, you are, but you're not, right? So you're parking your funds in another contract that isn't Hex. So you need to be aware of that. You are parking your stuff in another contract. And I don't know if Uniswap's website were to go down, if you can go into Etherscan and run right contract function to access those funds. And if you could, I don't know what it is yet. But if Hex website was to go down, you could go into Etherscan and you could run the right contract function. I think you did a video on that, didn't you?
Yeah, that was such a long time ago, but you're right. That was fun to explore, because also I don't want to get the URL wrong, but it used to be like another hex.win or another hex.com. But anyways, to your point that, yeah, if the main front end goes down and stuff, yeah, you can implement that similar functions directly with the contract. That was fun to do, man, because once again, yeah, I think it's important for people to know how those functions work, because so many people, they do rely on this thing up 100% of the time. And we know that that's just not the case in reality.
So as we've already seen, 1inch exchange can shut us off. You can't add liquidity if you're in the United States to 1inch exchange. It will pull up a tab saying, we know where you're at and you're not allowed to participate. So Uniswap doesn't do that, not yet. But again, this is one of those things that can be implemented because it's through a website, and those websites have certain controls. So you need to understand, when you're liquidity farming, it may or may not be accessed. You may not have direct access to the contract without their front end, and they can inhibit you through that front end. As where Hex, there is no inhibition whatsoever. You are literally directly interacting with the code. You're just selecting a front end that you want to use.
Right. Okay. No, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I think that's important. Once again, yeah, people need to understand, like you mentioned, that not only is there smart contract risk, but that you mentioned also a risk possibly if you have your funds in there and it goes away, or that you mentioned too, if randomly the US or arbitrarily says, hey, all these IPs can't. That's great info. I really appreciate you saying that. I know it's been a minute since we've chit chatted, and obviously now Pulsex sacrifice is officially over. Once again, don't sacrifice for Pulsex, people.
Yeah, but, it's over. Knock it off. You might not get nothing.
It's true. But tell me, how you think it's gone so far. And once again, it's been a minute since we've chatted. So tell me how you think of all of it, the Pulse and Pulsex. And
I am trying to shut it out of my brain, because every time I do, I get excited and I can't sleep. Because it is exciting. I mean, I think what isn't being mentioned a lot is the fact that the DeFi would have taken off and done all kinds of incredible things if Ethereum gas fees did not get outrageous. I almost think it was a sort of mitigation to prevent things from getting out of control, because the yield farming stuff that we did before was fun. It was cool. It was interactive. It's fun to watch your coins go up. It's fun to make, be able to go in and out of there whenever you choose. I mean, you could wait for a big trade to happen and go, oh, look at this side. I've got all these coins on this side. And that coin's going to go back up. Let me pull my liquidity, right? So there's all this stuff you can do over there if it didn't cost you $200-300 to get your stuff in and out, right? So you can't just pay the Ethereum network $200-300 to move stuff in and out. And at one time, some of that liquidity, I mean, they wanted to like $1,000 to remove $100 worth of liquidity. It just totally put the kibosh on that. And I think with, you know, Pulsex coming out, it's going to revitalize that whole liquidity providing thing, because people are going to be allowed to use it as it was intended to be used to begin with. And there's going to be so much gamification, and there's going to be so many transactions. Okay, when people are able to get in and out, they're going to get in and out, and those also count as transactions. Okay, and if we're getting a burn on those transactions, that's good for PulseChain too. You know, there's just all of this stuff is going to be so wicked when it comes out, because like the whole crypto space has been working against itself. You know, it's been attacking itself, really. These innovations have been very much repressed. Even the NFTs, okay? Fine. We might not understand why somebody wants to pay a lot of money for a picture. Fine, whatever. The point is, it's a transaction. They need to be able to mint them. They need to be able to market them. They need to be able to, you know, so they can't utilize the system like they want to either, because of these ridiculous fees. So once this is all corrected, you know, on a chain that does everything that Ethereum does, and people can afford to use it, I think we're going to gain so much adoption flowing in, you know, to the crypto space. Imagine if you didn't have to explain to your onboards why it costs them $40 to make a swap, why it doesn't cost them, you know, every time they make a move.
That's on the low end.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, cost you $40 every time you take a piss. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, it's like, come on, guys, how is this build adoption? And now all of a sudden you got penny fees. Everyone's like, penny fees. We were making stakes when it was penny fees. We were making like 1 hex for 1 day stakes back when hex was like a fraction of a penny. And, you know, we had all this silliness going on because we just enjoyed working with the code and executing all of its functions. And it's going to be like that all over again. You know, once we're able to do that for penny fees again, that's what it's going to be like again, is where people are going to be doing all these transactions because they can. Because they can. No other reason, just because they can, right?
It's so true. I mean, yeah, you and I both remember when the fees were, like you mentioned, a penny to end stake. And yeah, as far as the actual staking goes, like you mentioned, a whole bunch of people were doing a whole bunch of ladders and things like this. And anyways, yeah, now it's going to be back to those penny fee days again, but it's going to be, you know, fractions of a penny even. It's just going to be so much faster. And you're right that I think it is important that people will be able to experiment with how certain functions work, because once again, each function requires a fee and gas to do so. And so that is exciting, like you mentioned, for people to educate themselves and just see how things work.
Oh, host is unmuted my mic.
Yeah, no, there was a little bit of feedback, so I just
me.
muted you. No, there's a little bit of feedback, so I just muted you while I was talking, but no, it's not there anymore. So
I'm cracking up. It's like, oh, he didn't know if I was going to interrupt, man. He better put that. He put the brand hammer down on me.
No, I was just trying to be considerate of the. Anyways,
no,
so yeah,
no,
what do you think?
It's the heater. It's the heater that I got in here. It blows hot air, and it gives us a little bit of back static. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, we could get into the Hedron subject that you wanted to go. The thing I would tend to agree with Steph, that I don't really think that the market is mature enough for that type of product at this point in time. We'll have to see, because again, you know, it's hard to say something about something like that, because you never know what people are going to do. You can't just base everything off of how you feel on whether or not something has a market value. Because, you know, look at Doge, right? There's no reason Doge should have ever went up to 74 cents, but it did. So you can't really make these judgments that these things will never work, or that people won't use them, or that they won't be successful, because even the things that aren't supposed to pump still do. So it's interesting, but I do agree with Steph that I don't think the market was mature for it, because as it is, right, the only people that can utilize Hedron are hexagons, and most of them are divided on whether or not they want to be pure into hex or if they want to try anything else that's outside that space. So you're within a small space to begin with. You limit it down to hexagons, and then you limit it down again to the hexagons that are willing to participate. And then you have kind of a hyperinflationary sort of situation where new coins are being minted daily, and they are minted to the hex holders and only to the ones that are participating. But it's not just the ones that are participating, because they are actually accumulating for those who are not participating yet, who may decide to come in at any point in time and just, oh, I had coins here, cool, okay, dump them. So I don't really know performance-wise. I think it's something that if it's going to work, it's going to take an extended period of time. I don't think Hedron is something that can just instantly pump. It's going to have to be something that's proven over time, and it's going to have to build, and anybody participating is going to, there's not going to be enough liquidity if everybody just wants to grab it and dump it and think that they're going to get more hex with it, because it eventually will just crash it, and then it just won't be useful because of the amount of coins that are coming onto the market. And if everybody's selling and nobody's buying, what makes the price go up, guys? Price goes up because people are buying and not selling. What happens when everybody's getting it for free and they're dumping it on the market? Okay, so if it is something that is going to grow and gain adoption, it's going to be over a period of years. The complexity of hex as it is so complex that it takes a certain set of people the ability to comprehend what's already been created and how to utilize it to its full extent. Now we have an additional set of rules and an expansion set. An expansion set with new rules added to the network, okay? Now it requires you to take time and read the directions and understand how this new thing operates, and understand whether or not you want to play with the expansion set or not. Maybe you don't want to play with the expansion set. Maybe you like the old school rules. So it's going to take time. People that are excited and they think they're going to make money now on these add-ons, you're not. Because Hex has to gain adoption, and Hedron is dependent on Hex's success. And Hedron is depending on hexagons to participate, which is dangerous. And I know that Alex wants to do for the hexagons and add features for the hexagons, but the problem is he's kind of closed off his market to where he's only able to market to a few that are already participating in this one thing. So it's kind of selective marketing. And a lot of the OGs are uncomfortable with that, because he's like, oh, we're being targeted. No, he wants to build a product that's exclusive to hexagons. So it's a benefit for hexagons only sort of scenario. The other thing is, there is a pool, okay? There is additional funds that have access, no expectations of work from others, et cetera, et cetera. And how does he manage that in the future? That is a thing, because you can have the best intent, but if you improperly manage something or you make a mistake, you don't get a lot of time to recover in crypto. You have to be pretty much on the game and flawless, unless you do what the most of the crypto space is they let everybody die off and they recycle the narratives every 3 years. And they get a whole new set of people every 3 years, and then they give them the same sales pitch that they gave the last people. And that can revitalize something too. But it's interesting. I mean, the more I look into it, I mean, I have trouble understanding the value proposition myself a little bit. But again, I'm smart enough to realize that I don't have to see the value. Just because I don't see the value doesn't mean it's not there. I ain't going to be buying no Rolex. All right. A lot of guys like Rolexes. They think it's cool. They see a value in that. I ain't overpaying for no damn watch. Y'all
Me
crazy.
neither.
Y'all crazy. I ain't spending $40,000 for something to put on, or more, to put on my wrist so I can feel cool, but there is a market for that.
Mm.
And there are people that will buy it regardless of my opinion on whether or not I like it or not. And there will continue to be a market of that regardless of my opinion. No matter what I want, I could kick and scream. I could tell people they're idiot. They'll still be like, I still like my watch. You just jelly, So, I mean, that's just going to be how it's going to be. Right. So there will always be things that appeal to people. You've got primitive tribes, right? Maybe they like this special seashell necklace, right? And it's like a heirloom or something. It has more value than anything else. You offer them a block of gold, they'd be like, I don't want that. Screw that. I want my necklace. So people value things in different ways, and they assign different value based on their relationship to that thing. So it doesn't matter what we think. Things can be valuable regardless of what we think. Go ahead and mute me. My furnace is going to fire up, and I know you got some input on this.
No, not at all. I was only doing that if there was any noise, which there's not anymore. But anyways, yeah, like you mentioned, Richard talked about this before with the Peter Schiff debate, or long before that. But yeah, price is what you pay, value is what you get, and you're definitely right, man. That yeah, I mean, if you have something that's kind of functioning and letting the free market kind of do its thing, then yeah, the market will kind of always decide, like you say, whether that has value or some other things kind of happen.
It's like Peter and his gold bars. I'm not going to sit here with $1 million worth of gold bars. If I sat here with $1 million worth of gold bars, I get wrench attacked. Somebody would show up at my house, crack me in the head, and load up my gold bars and run away. Why? Because they can't. Somebody would do it. So I don't really have any interest in putting a target on my head by having things that may be stolen from me. And gold can be stolen fairly easy. And if you're stuffing it under your mattress, like Peter said, that's dumb. That's dumb. You are asking for a house raid if you're stuffing stuff under you, especially nowadays with raids and stuff. People make a call to the cops. They send people over to your house, and you get flashbanged for what? Because they said there was some kind of terrorist activity happening. And instead of investigating, they just show up and start with the SWAT team. I mean, swatting is a real thing, right? So no, having gold, stuffed under your mattress, that's insane. Things that make you a target. But Peter's very old school. But again, that's one of those things, right? I don't want a block of gold. What am I going to use it for? A doorstop? I can't take it to the grocery store. I can't shave a little bit off and go, here, let me pay you for that. Let me shave a little of this off here, right? I don't want to carry around, a 40-pound weight, that doesn't make sense. Why do I want to weigh 40 more pounds? So, I mean, it's not very practical. And he's got these little slivers of cards. Nobody's going to take that sliver of card as payment. The only time that stuff works is in a post-apocalyptical scenario where you find other people that value that particular substance. So, you could look at it how you want, but it's just a collectible. People have been selling collectibles out the back of their car for years, But again, if you try to exchange that gold and you don't have a network, what are you going to do? Go to the pawn shop? Are you going to get full face value out of that gold that you spent money on if you take it to a pawn shop? No. So you have to have a specific network in order to move those things. So you have to be in the gold network. And then you have to have friends to call up and say, hey, I need some cash. Can I sell you some gold? So it's very limited to what you can do with that. It's not like there is an automated market maker, because you are not exchanging real physical gold at that point. You are exchanging an IOU. You're exchanging a paper signification that says I own this gold. You're really exchanging the IOU. You're not actually exchanging the physical good. And the point of the physical good is to have the physical good, right? So that kind of goes against that whole theory. But go ahead and mute me. My furnace is running.
Oh, no. No, you're good. Yeah, I'll only do it if there's background noise. But no, you're right. And yeah, like Richard had mentioned about I think it was like the DTCC or something like that, owning kind of like, even all the certificates and stuff like, you don't even own the certificate. anyways, he had mentioned that a lot of that stuff was like being fractionally kind of, lent out and stuff like that too. But you're definitely right. I mean, especially the gold narrative and things like that. Like, and just for those that are, because there's obviously a possibility. But if you do have gold and stuff like that, don't tell people you do, and don't tell people, just like with crypto and stuff, like don't tell people where that you have it, or where you store it, stuff like this. Last thing you want to be is a target or a victim and stuff. But what do you think when, because words are so different sometimes, but when, and I'll pull it up in a second here, but when PulseChain says, when pulsex.com says, what does it say? PulseX will launch soon. What does that mean to you, and kind of what are some of your thoughts when you hear that?
4 more weeks. What it means is we've been in this holding pattern for some time, and if you've ever waited on a video game to release, you're kind of in the same situation, right? You hear the video game, oh, this game's going to launch, oh, it's been postponed till this time. Software is hard, right? And when you do finally get the video game, nowadays nothing's complete. Hex is like the first thing that's been complete in a very long time. It's like a cartridge. When there were cartridge video games, they're actually complete. You don't have to wait for downloads and updates.
Dude,
right?
Those were so fun, man. Like, cause hey, I was born in '96, but my older brothers, but yeah, same thing. The what was it? Nintendo 64 or Super Nintendo, blown on the thing. Cause
Do you know the correlation between a pencil and a cassette tape? That's a test of age. What is the correlation between a pencil and a cassette tape?
I mean, like, just being able to, I don't know. You tell me. I kind of have a thought of.
So when the tape player eats the tape, so when the tape player eats the tape, you pull the tape out. You can wind the tape back up with the pencil. So that is the thing. That is the thing.
I never actually thought about that, but that makes sense, dude.
Yeah, and there's blowing out the cartridges. You don't take a CD and go, right? You got to wipe the CD off. But people forget there's all these weird rituals that that we had to do to make the video games work. It's pretty funny. So
that's so true.
So there's like people get in these habits, right? So they do things. They do things that they see other people do, and they do it because they just think that's how things are done. Like, I started to do a little clip where I was going to talk about this guy that used to shake out his boots every time before he put it on. And as a result, his kids would shake out his boots, or shake out their boots. And then, later their kids would say, well, why do you do that? And the father says, well, that's just because it's how it's done. Right.
Yeah. And
then later they find out, well, grandpa used to live in Texas, so he had to pick up his boots and shake it out because there might be a scorpion in there. Right. But the kids that live, in up north, they don't have to worry about scorpions, so they don't even know why they're shaking out their boots, but they're doing it because it's learned behavior. And we've got a lot of that in the crypto space where people do things because it's learned behavior, and not because they necessarily even need to do those things anymore, but just because it's learned behavior. And it's fascinating to watch it happen, right? And you try to tell them, look, times have changed. Things have changed. You don't have to do it that way. And one of those things that I'm talking about is where people believe that they have to give their money to somebody else in order to earn any kind of yield on it, because that's how it's always been done. That's exactly it. That's the logic. They don't understand that they can be at the source. They don't understand that that person that is doing the things, they can be that person instead of giving that person the ability to do those things, right? So even in mining, you have to join a pool. Why do you have to join a pool in mining? Because you don't have enough hash rate to compete on the network yourself, that you have to assign your hash rate to a pool in order to compete, okay? So why are you doing that? Why is mining necessary? That's the part they don't get. Why is waste have value? Why does there have to be waste to create value? Because really that is the action. That isn't the process. The process is the code is inflating, and the action is who is getting rewarded. So you could have a bar, right? You only get a drink if you stand on your left foot. If you stand on your right foot, you don't get a drink. But if you stand on your left foot, you get a drink. So why not just stand on the other foot and get your free drink, right? So it's just changing the action from mining to staking. The left foot, right foot. It doesn't really matter which foot you stand on, but the consensus code is only going to pay people that do that certain action. And that's why at some point, inevitably, for Bitcoin to continue to compete, it's going to have to switch to a proof of stake network. Because if, something that has a cap, okay, even though that cap is not achievable for the next 120 years. So we'll all be dead before Bitcoin ever reaches that cap. Okay, all of us, even you young ones. So 120 years, unless you plan on being 143, Brandon. So it's possible, I suppose. But so at that point, what does Bitcoin do then? Because all those miners that are burning electricity no longer have coins to dump on the market to offset that expense for paying for all that electricity, because they have reached the cap. So the only thing they can do at that point is overcharge for running transactions. So now you have a coin that they're going to have to charge you a large amount of money for to be bothered with running your transaction. So either that happens, or they say, you know what, we need more coins, or they say, you know what, we're just not going to do this anymore because we're not being incentivized. Do you go to work and work your job for no money? Well, the Bitcoin miners aren't going to go work their job for no money either. I don't care how much they love the network. They're going to move on. They're going to find something else more profitable if that's the case. So this promoting this limited supply, you've got a collectible at that range. That's not a monetary currency. That's a high-end collectible. That is a limited edition collectible. That's an exclusive collectible. And yes, guys, there will always be a market for people that are willing to overpay for stuff. That's why we have Rolexes and Lamborghinis and private jets and all this stuff, because there's always going to be a market for people that like to overpay for things. And that's not in danger, but as a monetary system, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Sounds like Pokemon cards.
Beanie Babies. No, that's true, and I think that's an important distinction that you mentioned. That like the proof of waste idea, right? Where just because you're mining, and I think Richard had really asked Peter a really good question when he had said, like, have you thought about all of the recommendations that you've given and about the possible what is it like the debt and the medical expenses and the stuff like this? Like, have you thought about ever being wrong and about being wrong about Bitcoin, especially for like 12 years and stuff? But anyways, yeah, I think it's important that you mentioned the distinction that, hey, just because you're mining something and just because that's that doesn't actually mean that it's valuable itself. You're right.
Yeah, the action has nothing to do with the product. Okay, when you stand on one foot at the bar and they give you a drink, the standing on one foot at the bar had nothing to do with the quality of the drink or the drink itself. It had to do with the action that you did to receive said drink. So it doesn't affect the quality of the drink whatsoever. It's just the action. It's who gets rewarded. So this is what people need to understand, is the fact that staking is an action, like mining is an action. You can award anybody. You have to have some type of action to choose or select as the action that makes people part of a set, so that they qualify for the new supply. Okay, they qualify for the rewards. So people that do this action qualify for these rewards. In Hex, it's staking. Anybody that stakes qualifies for those rewards. Now there's a system in there, and it tells you what you get and how much you get, and that's a matter of how it's rationed. Okay, but in order to get Hex, you have to either A, buy it, or commit the action, which is staking, in order to receive it. So this is no different than donating, your coins to a certain wallet people that did that action are the ones that are going to be rewarded. Just like anybody that used Uniswap, right? Anybody that interacted with that platform was rewarded Uni. That was the action. So the actions have been shown that these actions can be changed. These actions can be reassigned. These actions can be different things in order to receive the supply. Where does the supply come from? Like Richard said, it comes from out of thin air. So do trees. They come from out of thin air. Does that mean they don't exist and don't have value because they come out of thin air? Right? So where does the money come from the government? Out of thin air. And a matter of fact, it's not printed. It's a unit of account, guys. The money isn't actually printed. The printers are not running. The printers, in order to run with the 40% additional money, it'd take 1,000 years to run the presses 24/7, 7 days a week, 7 days a week and 365 days. It takes you 1,000 years to print the money that's in existence. It's all digital units of account. It's all out of thin air. The difference is who's assigning it to you and what rules do they follow? What rules are they under? Well, they don't have any rules. They don't have an immutable lock contract. They can decide tomorrow that they want to print an extra $1 trillion and hand it out to all their buddies. You have absolutely no controls over that, and you don't know the rules because they changed the rules, right? So this is why an immutable system, an immutable code that is finished and complete is important, because you know that the rules are it's 3.69% inflation paid only to the participators of the staking pool and no one else. True. So if you want part of that money, you know what it is that you need to do to receive those new coins that are being created, whether you are standing there with your bucket or not. Those coins are still being created as the code is hard coded to release X amount of supply at certain times, right? So the government has no regulation on whether or not that they just want to run the printer, or it's not even run the printer. You know, that's kind of the wrong thing. They want to just add digits to accounts. They just add digits to accounts. That's all they do. There is no printing. There is no real cash. I had that experience. I don't know. Did you catch me ranting about that on Twitter?
I didn't, but can you cover for like 20 seconds while I use the bathroom real quick, and then I'm still listening? Okay.
Oh, I can yap for 20 minutes. Take your time, bro. I got this.
I'll be back in like 20 seconds.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a story since Bran kind of threw that out there. Now he's going to miss the story. He's going to have to go back and watch himself to hear this. So here's an example, guys, okay?
I'm still listening.
And I don't know if you caught this on my Twitter feed or not, but you're going to get it anyway. And I can't see the chat, so you're going to get it anyway. So if you're yelling at me and say, shut up, Johnny, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to give it to you, okay? So a friend of mine wanted to get some X, could not get a Coinbase account, okay? And he needed to get his money in the stable coin. So I'm running around with a $20,000 check written from the bank, okay, certified cashier's check. So I go to the bank branch and I said, here's my certified check, give me my money. Well, you don't have matching funds in your account, okay? So the check was written from you guys. It's a certified check. It's supposed to be same as cash. Give me my cash. Well, we don't have that much cash on hand. Oh, wait a minute. So if I wrote a check for money that I didn't have in the bank physically, I would go to jail. But I mean, you guys can write a certified check, same as cash, and not have the money in the bank to give me my cash when I show up and bring you your check that you wrote. Is that right? So they called 5 different branches. Not a single one of those branches had printed $20,000 bills, $20,000 worth of bills available. They only had, you could only take out like $5,000. You can't take out $20,000. Wow. You mean the banks don't actually have like $20,000 if you go there? So they said, it's okay. I mean, you can order it. If you want to wait a week or 2 weeks, we can have it here and we'll have it ordered for you. But no, you cannot immediately take a cashier's check. A cashier's check is not same as cash. And you can't just show up and say, hey, I got a $20,000 check and take it out. You can't. because the money is not as available as people think it is. That cash that you're used to and used to holding that you think has value doesn't really exist as much as you think it is. Like I said, it would take 1,000 years to print out the money that's in units of account. If everybody went to the bank tomorrow and said, I want all of my money in cash, the cash does not exist. Let me say it one more time. The cash does not exist. All money is a digital unit of account. No different than cryptocurrency whatsoever, except the fact that it is controlled by an entity that can print as much as they want, when they want, how they want, and distribute it out to who they want. Soak it in. Welcome back, Bran. It's all yours. Perfect timing.
No, I'd heard that story the whole time, and it's incredible that you mentioned, and yeah, you see it in times of war, stuff like this, where people, they're trying to get their cash out of the bank, and without getting into stuff, yeah, you see a huge line out the door in Ukraine of people trying to get cash and fiat and stuff, and
the ATM machine's empty, and there is no cash, and they can shut off your credit cards, and you got nothing, right? So, I mean, it's scary. It was scary when we went off the gold standard. When we went off the gold standard, literally, your lockboxes got confiscated. Okay? So if you think you're safe in gold and you got it in the lockbox in the bank, guess what? It's already been proven. They can tell the bank, no, don't let him in here. Don't let him get his gold. We know he's got gold in there. Don't let him get it. It's frozen, right? So if you got it in your house, you're probably going to get robbed. If you got it in the bank, they can freeze it. They can take it into possession.
Legally steal it.
Yeah. So, and then we get to digital currencies, and people are like, well, Bitcoin's unconfiscatable. No, that's not true. Novogratz has bought lots of Bitcoin from auction. Mt. Gox is holding a lot of people's Bitcoin. It's not unconfiscatable, right? And there is no locking mechanism that makes it untouchable for thieves. And this is another aspect about Hex that people don't talk about that much. You ain't getting my Hex, okay? You might force me to emergency unstake, but you ain't getting it. The community would get it, right? Because I have no more power to unstake my Hex than the thieves. The thieves don't get any more power over that. If they want to nuke my account, yeah, they can nuke my account, but they ain't getting shit out of it. True. So that's one of these things that's really an advantage to Hex, because you are slightly more resistant to those wrench attacks because your money is already accounted for, right? I mean, there's only so much harm they can do unless they get your whole keys, and then they're able to take out money over time. It's really difficult. I think that makes us less of targets than people that hold other liquid cryptos, because people know that a lot of us are pretty much staked, and it's not really money now that we have, it's future money, and they may or may not know when that ends. It requires some research. It requires some skill. And they also need to understand how to interact with the contract. There's a certain amount of learning curve there, right? Somebody with a 70 IQ can bust into your house and steal your gold bar. Okay, so that takes nothing, right? They step in, they walk out with your TV, or they walk out with your gold bar when they see you leave your house. But it doesn't take any skill. But to take Bitcoin takes a limited amount of skill. Then again, Hex takes a more amount of skill. And then when you get all the way into Hedron, this is another set of layers and game theory and stuff going on there. Again, this is another expansion set. So what's going on there, right? I don't even know enough about it to figure out how to move stuff around yet. And I'm not really seeing a lot of participation on it yet. I see a lot of people cheering about it, but I don't see any stakes being created or anything yet. So I'm trying to watch it. I'm trying to observe and see what happens. Let others make mistakes before me so I can learn from theirs,
True. Well, it's true, and I did message Alex last night because I've been listening to the Hedron voice chats and stuff for a little while just to hear more about it. And thank God I think it was Cabana Kool-Aid, and I think it was Alex who's the founder. But anyways, I'd messaged him last night on Telegram, and I don't know when, but he's going to be on this stream, and yeah, people can. In the chat, ask him any questions. It's probably just going to be me and him, but anyways, I might leave it up for people that have like if yourself wanted to come on and had some questions and stuff, we could all kind of talk together.
I've never met him. I
neither.
Don't know anything about him, but I'm trying to be again. I'm trying to be subjective because again, just because I don't see a value or I see this as being more of a long-term thing that may or may not, it's like any business. Okay. People think, oh, I'm just going to go open up a business. I love it because I get a lot of like teenagers that come to me and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to do just what you do. I'm going to do this for a living. How do I do this for a living? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it somehow. I'm going to do it. It's like, it's good. It's very good that you have that desire to do this sort of thing, but you realize this is not about just doing what I do. You have to understand marketing. You have to understand how to manage money. You have to understand supply and demand. You have to understand products. You have to do it requires a lot to do any kind of business, and 90% of businesses just fail. They just do.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like marketing can outperform a product. We've seen it. Okay. Doge is a prime example of marketing selling a pet rock. Okay. Pet rocks, the whole pet rock thing. I don't know. You guys can look it up. Okay. I'm going to say pet rocks, but pet rock was a debate between two marketing students on whether or not it was the product or whether or not it was the packaging. That is what the debate was. Okay. Guess which one? The packaging. You could sell a rock to people if you package it properly and you present it properly and you present it in a positive light. You can sell a pet rock to people. Okay.
I've never actually looked at this, dude. Let me just interrupt from a 96, born in 96. I had never heard of that before, but did you ever buy one of these things?
No, hell no. Would you like one? I'll sell you one. I've got a whole bin of them outside here. They're gravel in my parking lot.
Like an egg, it's got like hay or anyways.
It's the perfect pet. You don't have to feed it. You don't got to take it for a walk. It's perfectly housebroken. I mean, it's all about presentation, right? So, again, yes, people were paying, $5-10 for these things, right? And really, it was just a rock, and people will always pay for things. I've seen influencers that bought scam coin. It was called scam coin, and they bought it and said, oh, well, at least they're honest. Let me send them some money. I've seen people hand a bum $1 because he was holding up a sign that says, I ain't going to lie, I need a beer. That guy made more money than I did that day. I'll tell you what, because people just hand him $1. I like what you said there. So people will buy things and do things because they're going to. It really does. It has to do with how it relates to them, and you can't really take anything and say it doesn't have value. That because obviously if it doesn't have value, you wouldn't hear about it. It has value to someone, whether or not that someone is you, doesn't matter. You're laughing.
Dude, I have to just say this. Craig Wadding is saying, and I'm sorry, you're having a point, and I was still listening, but damn it, this comment is just too funny not to.
He took his pet rock swimming.
Haven't seen him since. Just hilarious. But you're definitely right, and it's
that's
such
what
a good
the mafia
point
used to do. They used to take their pet rocks swimming with people attached to them.
That's true, man. That's true. Yeah, one lady did that. Kind of where I used to grow up with cinder blocks. But anyways, different story for a different time. It's so true, man. Where like you mentioned, some of these cryptos, all of them are just marketing, and it's all this. And I've said this before about the difference between Richard and other people is that the stuff that Richard is saying, like you mentioned, he's going to he's actually going to have actions on that, and he's going to complete what he's talking about. But a lot of this stuff is quote unquote vaporware, and it is like you mentioned, it's the packaging. And you know, you saw it with dude, I heard you hear all these narratives with crypto. Like I heard someone say
recycling of narratives every 3 years. Recycling of narratives. New group, new audience, and they're falling for the same thing that we've heard 3 years ago. And then 3 years before that, it was the same thing. So if you've been here for 6 years, you've got to hear these narratives at least twice, and you're like, I heard that one before. Hey, Charlie.
That's so true.
When smart contracts, buddy. I've been waiting for it for like 6 years now. I still don't see my smart contracts. Hey, Brad, when are the banks going to use my XRP? I've been hearing it for 6 years now, Brad. The banks don't use the XRP. You know what they do? They get a discount on XRP, and then they immediately dump it on our heads. What's going on, Brad, with banks? You know, so yeah, it's all a recycling of narratives, man.
Well, and you want to hear about narratives. So, you know, my aunt the other day is like, Bran, hey, this person wanted to, you know, I heard you're the crypto guy. This person wanted to talk. And normally I don't do that because, you know, time is valuable. But anyways, so I'm talking to this lady that's got like 20,000 XRPs, a big XRP lady. And she's like, you know, even when Coinbase had like, you know, you can't buy it anymore, but it's still there. I think she had said, anyway, she had bought it. She had like bought more specifically on like another, the point that I'm trying to say is the narratives that you mentioned. And she was saying like, oh yeah, all these other crypto people that I follow say that XRP is going to be used by the banks and that it's going to be backed by gold. And it's like, dude, I remember hearing that from Veritasium in 2017 with, you know, the founder of that, but you're definitely right, man.
And backed by gold, that's another one that cracks me up too. Okay, so it's backed by Pet Rock that you can never exchange it for. Okay, and if you do, you have all the problems of gold, which is transportation, security, custody. You've got all these issues, right? So backed by gold, people just literally say that to mean something, right? Because technically the paper that you're trading is backed by gold. When you're buying gold on exchanges or whatever, you've got a piece of paper that says you own gold. You don't have physical gold. So that's backed by gold. So why do you need a blockchain coin that's backed by gold when you can have another piece of paper that says it's backed by gold? If that's what you want, then why don't you get it from already the trusted sources instead of expecting some anonymous founder to make this thing and say, oh, it's backed by gold. We've got Fort Knox. And first of all, that quality that you need to understand about gold is it can be stolen. So let's say they do everything right, okay? Let's say it really is backed by gold. And somebody finds out where they're keeping that gold. Tomorrow, it's no longer backed by gold. That easy, right? And tomorrow, that gold goes to pawn shops and is distributed out to jewelers, and they're never getting it back, okay? That is the problem with things that have physical point of failures. Miners are physical point of failures. You can't put a mining farm in a shed in the woods and have it mine Bitcoin, okay? You can't. What you have is big factories, big facilities that have multiples of machines that are grinding and going, and they have to keep them air conditioned and they have to keep them cooled and they have to keep all this. And you're telling me that somebody can't just drop a bomb on one of those things, you know, or run it over with a trailer, or or the government comes in and storms the building and starts unplugging stuff. That is a physical point of failure. Okay, you have to recognize that these are physical points of failure. What is good about crypto is the fact that it's not supposed to have physical points of failure like this, right? So what is the difference between a validator, okay, and a mining farm? Well, validators, one, don't require the level of electricity, and they are fairly easy. You know, I mean, it takes some money, but it doesn't take you millions of dollars to be a validator or to run the equipment that's required to be a validator. And these things are portable, and they can pop up other places. Okay, it's not like transporting a giant building full of miners, right? So there's a big difference there. The attack surface is much smaller, I guess is the way to put it, right? The visibility of this happening in a particular location is not as obvious. You could have a shed running a validator somewhere, you know, on renewable energy. It's possible. I wouldn't recommend it. You do have to have that internet connection, and you know, you don't want anything interfering with that. But I mean, it's a different thing, right? So what we have is another packaging, right? So we've been marketed that you have to have these specific miners, you have to have these big facilities, you have to pay these companies, you have to participate in these pools. Boy, that sounds like a lot of rules. That doesn't sound like a lot of self-sovereignty, does it? That sounds like some people are making a lot of money off this Bitcoin mining thing, and it isn't the miners, you know, because they are selling what they make in order to pay for their power bills. So who benefits from that? The mining companies and the power companies. Who doesn't benefit from that? The holders. Why don't the holders benefit from that? Because it's constant sell pressure. Okay, whether you want to acknowledge it exists or not, it does, right? Whether you want to acknowledge it or the fact that if you're not mining, you're not close to the source, and even if you, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because Richard will tell you most of the time you are better off buying the coin than trying to mine it, right? So it doesn't really do it because of the overhead that it takes to mine. At most of those points of time, it would have been better off just buying the coin, you know, then, because if you buy the mining equipment, okay, you are out the mining equipment price. That's a net negative to start with, right? You have to make that money back before you're in profit. It's like any other business, okay? I have to buy my equipment, so I have equipment that is able to produce certain things, okay? I've got a Michaelis meter mix machine, I've got pressure tanks, I've got saws, I've got, you know, all the different tools that I need to produce things, right? So before I'm able to make a profit on producing things, I have to have the tools to do so. And this is where people translate that, right? They think they've got to have tools to create, okay? But in all actuality, this is like a security theater sort of thing. This is a, oh yeah, you got to buy our tools, because if you don't use our tools, you can't do the job. When all actuality, what they're preventing you from seeing is it's just an action. There are different actions that you can do to be part of that assigned set. And it doesn't have to be using their tools, running on their networks, doing the way they want you to do things that are profitable to them. But we have this idea that creation requires tools, and we have to utilize these tools to create things, and we accept the fact that there is a loss in purchasing those tools. It's hard for us to realize that the environment's changed, and no. Your crypto that you buy is the tool. The crypto that you buy is the tool. You utilize that tool to self-replicate itself. They don't get that. So they feel that there's got to be some kind of what is that? The Rubin machine, gold Rubin machine.
Oh yeah, Rube Goldberg, yeah.
Rube Goldberg machine, which is finding the most complex way possible to complete a task. So the ball runs across here. You've seen videos like this on TikTok, right? You know, the dominoes fall down, they knock a ball, the ball kicks the bucket. There's a really famous game called Mousetrap, and Mousetrap was basically this big sophisticated game where they've got all these mechanisms going, and then at the end it drops the cage on the mouse if everything runs correctly, right? So what they've done is they've created this concept where you believe that all this complexity is actually necessary, and instead something like Hex just drops you right off at the source, where you are communicating directly with the contract, and you are receiving the new supply based on your communication with that contract, without all the boots and the buckets and the balls and the dominoes and everything that they put in your way that they make you think has value, when in actuality it really doesn't.
It's so true. Yeah, I was showing examples as
I was watching
as you were talking. Oh yeah, no, but it's so true, because you know and once again, like do people care about the other humans in the world? Because 60 people died in that one day alone that Richard was talking about. And
Mining gold, yeah.
yeah, and it's just disgusting because, you know, you look at someone like Richard, chose Hart for last name, obviously, and I just like that he's congruent with what he, he builds stuff to make the world a better place, and you know, all these people about Bitcoin with, hey, this is so damaging to the environment or so much electricity and stuff. Well, guess what? PulseChain solves that, and like you mentioned, that yeah, you kind of just have like almost like a fax machine versus, you know, internet or email and stuff like that these days, that one of them is clearly the outdated old system and the other one's kind of like, you know, the new system type of deal.
You see that guy on TikTok that basically just goes like this, you know, the guy that does that, he's like, it's this easy, right? How to open a door. And he's got like this whole thing on TikTok where he's showing how easy things actually are. So he's making fun of like the Pinterest things where people are being creative and they're doing new ideas and new ways to solve problems that don't really exist. And then he shows how simple it is to just do it. You know, it's like, why do you have to be so creative about it? Just do it, right? So in a way, Bitcoin has got this creativeness. See, at the time, this is the thing, all right? Now, I'm not really bashing on Bitcoin because it was a prototype, okay? It was designed the way that it was to allow everybody to commit a certain action, which was mining, that at the time, everybody could participate in. So everybody with their own computer could participate at that point in time. And that was the correct way of distributing, because they said, okay, this is a function that everybody can do, and we're going to distribute the coins to people that perform this particular function, this particular action, right? And then it got centralized where now you have to do it this way, right? If you don't pay the money for the big miners and run the big facilities, you're out. You're out. So adoption doesn't happen by excluding people. Adoption happens by welcoming people to participate and making it easy for them to participate, okay? Now, people that have already went through the gauntlet don't want people to have an easy time because they didn't have an easy time. So they're like, hey, no. You got to do what I do. You've got to earn your dues, buddy. You got to go through and you got to mine and you got to do all this crap that I did because I had to do it. But that's just not it, right? It's like, you know, making people take the stairs when you know there's an elevator. That ain't right. You got to stand by and laugh at people walking up the stairs because you took the stairs and you want to make sure that they take the stairs and do it the hard way because you did? Or are you going to say, hey, buddy, look, there's an elevator here? Or are you going to wait at the top and go, why didn't you take the elevator, you dumbass? You know, I mean, how are you going to handle it? What kind of person are you, right? So it's funny. It's funny and it's sad, you know. People get used to certain things and they can't change their perspective because you hear it all the time, especially like in factory work. You'll hear people go, their biggest argument is, well, it's how it's always been done.
Yep. Archaic thinking, man.
This is how it's always been done. Well, technology is a matter of finding new and more efficient ways of accomplishing old tasks. So you cannot represent technology and say this is how it's always been done and be valid, because that doesn't make any sense. It's so anti-technology to say this is how it's always been done and this is how it will always be done. What you are indicating is you do not support development. You do not support technology. You don't support critical thinking. You don't support creativity. You are not very imaginary if you're willing to accept that this is the way it's always been done and always be. New products would never exist in the world. Nothing would ever get done. Nothing would ever get created if everybody just settled for this is how it's always been done and it will never change, right? What if we stopped at the wheel? If we stopped at the wheel, we'd still be, you know what? Where do we go from there? No cars, no horse and no horse and buggy. Hey, the wheel's good enough. We're going to roll people around in wheelbarrows. Is that how we're going to travel across the world? You know, What if the Wright brothers listened to the village idiots at the pub that said, you guys are never gonna fly? What if the Wright brothers took that seriously? Oh, he's right. No, this ain't never gonna happen. We gotta quit this. This is dumb shit, man. Let's quit. Right? You know, history is full of people that were visionaries that were suppressed by culture. You know, Da Vinci and Aristotle, the church about killed him for his theories. You know, Da Vinci was, you know, treated like a loon. He had designs for helicopters and flying machines and tanks and all kinds of stuff, you know, and way beyond his time, you know, things that people couldn't even fathom. If you don't think that technology doesn't happen, just go back and look at Star Trek. The phone I'm talking to you on right now is higher powered than the tablets that they have on DS9. You know why I know that? Because my phone connects to the internet and it has unlimited resources, and those tablets were basically just digital notepads. They didn't even have the concept of the fact that something that could draw information. They had multiple tablets that carried different information. So they would have a stack of like iTablets. Each one had a different function, right? And we have tablets now that have all the functionality. You only need one tablet. You don't need 10. You don't need one for security reports, one for this, one for that, right? So look at 3D printing, right? 3D printing, in a way, you could look at that as replication. I mean, holodecks, we do have VR, okay? No, it's not in the room with you where you don't have to have the aid of a visor, but we very much do have VR that is very much realistic and that is very much submersive, okay? This is possible. And we do have in Silicon Valley, we actually have places that you can walk through that do have like backpacks and GPS on them. And they have like steam pipes and stuff that shoot steam, and they have air that blows on you, and they have like heaters and stuff to give you the feel. So it becomes a real submersive environment where they are actually creating around you the environment that's being played in your headset. So we are very close to creating alternate realities, much like the holodeck. But the thing is, God, I'm getting on a tangent here, Bran. I could go on.
Well, hey, please do. Shit, I'm enjoying it. So I mean, you know, I think it's important and it's very relevant. And
I don't think we're as creative as we think we are. Okay, and the reason I say that is because if we can conceive it, okay, if we can think of something, it's probably achievable because it's within the limitations of what we conceive. I don't think we're advanced enough to actually ask the questions of what can't exist. So, like, if we can think of something wacky, odds are we can probably build that. But if we can't think of it, if it's so off the wall that we can't even imagine it, then no, we can't do it. So I don't know that that makes us like, I think it makes us limited. Because it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So we can only imagine the things we know that are possible, but we can't imagine things beyond what we know is possible. So there's probably so much more possible than we can ever possibly think of. That's the best way I can spell it out.
It's true. No, yeah, Richard talks about that in like sci-fi as far as like certain things about like in his kind of weird way of you know, once again, but like asking like the not question, or like you kind of mentioned about the conceptualization versus the other stuff. No, but it's true, dude. Like you kind of mentioned the like the innovators, right? Whether it's Richard Hart, I mean, literally. And hey, Refined Hayseed, let me just say what's up to this guy. He follows another channel that I do, and that guy is a super supportive.
Yeah, catch up with chat, man. I you know me, I get on tangents, so I'll pause.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just wanted to say cheers to that guy. Good guy. But anyways, like you mentioned, that whether it's Richard Hart on, I mean, I think it was the first day that Hex launched, December 2nd. But anyways, Tone Bays and all of them kind of just naysaying and shit talking. And dude, if they were such Bitcoin maxis, which they claim to be and stuff, I'd be curious if any of their addresses are doxed to see if they ever like actually claimed the hex. I doubt they did, but you know, some people, they'll say one thing and do another, you know.
The girl did. The girl probably did better than all of them, because the girl at
The red hair lady.
I don't know if they caught it out. I don't know if they cut it out, because she's like, let me go over there and check that out. She's like, I got to get me some. And I think they cut that out, because I was watching live when it was happening. And she's like, well, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Let me go check that out. I would love it. I would love to know if she ended up outperforming the shit out of them. But I mean, oh God, dude, that still cracks me up. Toad base. Let me do my best one. Oh my gosh, guys. It's 1 Satoshi. It's gonna fail. It's nobody's ever gonna buy it. I mean, come on. 1 Satoshi. He literally said, Hex is 1 Satoshi, no one's ever gonna buy it. Tone, buddy, I gotta tell you something. If you would have put 1 Bitcoin in when you were complaining about it being 1 Satoshi, you'd have 500 Bitcoin now. Instead, you've got a trading course that nobody wants, and nobody's going to feed you any more steak, man. Give it up.
It's true, man. Well, and just like with anything else, that once again, you can take so much time to build up a reputation or set a reputation and stuff, and then, you know, in a matter of seconds, very quickly destroy it. And same thing with kind of like you mentioned about that Dunning-Kruger, with some of the maximalism mentality and some of the Bitcoiners not realizing that Hex is literally doing something similar, but just so much more innovative and so much more.
You know, the thing that bothers me most, it's like you know, the dude on crypto banter. He says one of the guys was on there as Arcane Bear, I think. Yeah, he says, sure. The thing that I like about Michael Saylor is he has more money than everybody else. Okay, first of all, having more money than everybody else doesn't make you special. Okay, it means you have more of a thing. Okay, that's like saying people like me because I have more masks than everybody else, or I have a larger toy collection than anybody else. That doesn't give me credibility. Okay, it means I have a thing that somehow I acquired. You don't know how it is I acquired that. You don't know how I really came by it. You assume that I'm successful, so therefore I'm smart. No, success has to do with a matter of making right choices. Because you can make completely right choices for the completely wrong reasons. And Saylor's a good example of that. Because he has no understanding of Bitcoin whatsoever. Okay, he doesn't. He makes vague statements that he throws out there because he's trying to make excuses for why he thinks it's going to work, or you know, he's like 10 years behind the curve. So it's just gibberish. You know, you can buy a thing, okay? It doesn't mean you know how the thing works. Okay, you're holding a cell phone right now. Can you build one? No, and Michael Saylor can't build a Bitcoin either. Okay, right. Do you know how your cell phone works? No, and you own one. Well, Michael Saylor owns Bitcoin. He doesn't know how it works either. So it's really the same. It's really the same concept, right? And having a big pile of money because you did some things that turned out to produce that money doesn't mean you're right about everything. It means you have made some choices that have made you that money. Knowing about Bitcoin has not been one of his favorite choices because he was not buying it back when it was cheap. He was liking it at the higher levels. Like Richard says, he was buying it at $30,000, $40,000. He wasn't smart enough to know what it was when it was 50 cents.
Yeah, and he still has that tweet up there, like you say, of like Bitcoin will fail like online gambling did, something like that. And you're right that it is a vanity metric of Arcane Bear to say that he has more money than Richard, because that's also like, if people want to assume that, oh, you know, Richard's this and that and stuff, well then
it doesn't matter. The big thing is, it doesn't matter who has more money. It matters who has more knowledge. Okay, you can make money with knowledge, all right, but you don't admire a person because they have things. You admire a person because they're giving you knowledge that can help you achieve your goals, whatever those goals may be. There are a lot of people with money that have done nothing for it, that have inherited it, that have gotten it through unscrupulous means, Okay. There are people that have gotten money for whatever reason. Just because you have a thing, you don't really know the whole story, why that person has that thing, and if it has anything to do with the topics in which they're discussing whatsoever. So you can't use that as a metric, but you know, it's really, it's just really weird, you know? Okay. So now I've got plenty of money. What did I do to do it? Was it my 30 years of hard work that got me here? No. You know what got me here? I made a right choice. That right choice, that one right choice that I made outperformed my 30 years of hard work, developing skill sets to gain work and gain credibility, interacting with people, following through with what I say I'm going to do, and all of that hard work that I've done that allowed me to build the business that I have today, okay, got outperformed because I made one right choice, purchasing one right thing at one right time. Do you know how depressing that is? Building all of these different skill sets that you think make you more marketable, make you that make you think that you're more skilled. And I am. I could build a house from ground up. I could build a house if I wanted to. You can think of anything off the top of your head that you want me to build, and pretty much I can build it, whether it has to do with welding, fabrication, or you know, just sculpting even. You know, I've got the art end of it too, whether I'm sculpting, creating, mold casting, mold making. So I've got this big list, a set of skills. There's not really much I can't do. And I do build innovative items that people have never even thought could exist. In fact, they didn't exist until I built them. So I'm used to that. You know, I'm not going to toot my own horn. The point is, all of my skills didn't really matter when it came down to making money. Okay. My usefulness as a person, my ability to build and make things had nothing to do with the large amount of money that I now have access to as a result of making that one right decision. And it's depressing in a way. It's great that I don't have to worry about that. I can now focus on things that I want to do. I can take the jobs that I want. I don't have to worry about what the client wants, unless, yeah, I can be selective about the clients that I choose. But I'm always going to be a creator. I'm always going to build things. I'm always going to make things because that's my nature. But I can now choose the things that I want to spend my time on, because now that I've bought my time back, because I'm not forced to do the things that I've, you know, forced to take the jobs from clients in order to make a paycheck. Because I mean, that's what you have to do, right? Even if you're a business owner, you still have clients. So you still need to do what it is that they require of you, or you don't get the job. You don't get the paycheck, right? So it's not a matter about being creative and making what you want. It's about a matter of filling a need for that client so that they get what they need. So yeah, I just think it's funny that people relate, oh, this guy's got a lot of money, must do something right. That guy could be a trust fund baby for all you know. You see somebody driving a Lamborghini, they might have no skill set whatsoever. Give you an example of that. Carl, the Moon. 3 years ago, he was a cashier at a grocery store.
Who are you talking about?
Carl the Moon.
Okay.
3 years ago, he was a cashier at a grocery store. And people are taking financial advice from him, right? Now he has made a market for himself. I mean, you know, a lot of this YouTuber stuff really is, I look at it and I think, you know, and not you, Brand, okay? But I'm just saying a lot of these influencers that are out there that started out in 2017, these are people with no other skills than a camera and a microphone and an internet connection, because they're not good at anything else. If you handed them a hammer and told them to build a house, they'd be like, how do I do that? You know, these people, I don't think they have any skills. So obviously, if they weren't YouTubers, I don't know how they'd make a living. I certainly would not be trusting any of these guys with my finances. I mean, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people, you know, being a cashier or a gas station attendant or whatever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anybody working hard and trying to better themselves and get themselves up and move into a new position. But I mean, people that settle for not learning or not growing and saying, this is what I'm always going to do all my life, you're limiting yourself. Carl would not be anything if he did not purchase Bitcoin at the right time. So therefore, he is very loyal to Bitcoin because he purchased it at the right time. He created a network for himself. But as far as his skills, not the guy that I'd be picking for a zombie apocalypse, that's for sure. What are you going to do? Ring me up some groceries, buddy? I mean, come on.
True.
And then you've got those influencers that look like, you know, they're kids and they're right out of the trailer park, and somehow these people are following them, right? And you're like, oh my God. It's like, look, are you going to take financial advice from a couple bag boys? One of them looks like he ate all the damn food. Probably lost his job as a bag boy because he ate all the food. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, I know, uncalled for. Johnny made a fat joke.
Hey, I love the comedy, man. Shit, dude.
But I mean, this is
but it's true,
right? It's amazing. These guys got millions of followers. It's almost like the weatherman who is always wrong, yet people still watch him, right?
True.
Here's an idea. Open up your door, stick your head out the door. You're going to get a better accurate reading of what the weather is doing in your area by doing that than tuning into whatever news station, right? And people do that with TA. Well, how's the weather of Bitcoin today? You know, I mean, it's still the same thing, right? You don't really know what's going to happen, who's going to pull the trigger, who's going to do what. You know, you can make probabilities, but you got three directions, right? Up, down, or sideways. It's going to do one of those. I mean, I love watching technical. Well, if we break this line, we're going to go up. Yeah, well, we have to go up to break that line. So obviously we're going up in that direction. I mean, it's just so vague, right? It's so vague. Well, if we drop below this level, we're probably going to go lower. Yes. Well, if you drop below that level, obviously you're on a downward trend, so therefore you must go lower. You know, how much lower is lower? A fraction of a penny? Oh, look, it went lower. I told you, I was right. Is it really important? I mean, what skill set is that really? I mean, does it matter whether you're right that day? Or does it matter whether you were right and you just left it alone and you come back and check a year later and go, yep, I was right. I mean, now I can actually do something about it, right? At any point in time, you can look at that chart and go, I was right. Especially if you're giving vague sentiments and you're going, well, if we go past this level, we're going up. You know, that's why I like the whole, you know, here's a 2-year, here's a 3-year perspective. But again, this is all important because this is how things have been done, how people expect things to be done, and people are interested in watching, and it's engaging for them. So I'm not trying to take away from what's going on here, because that does get people views. People want to know. They want answers. They want someone to tell them what they want to hear, right? So, yeah.
I agree, man. It's true. As Richard says, and as you said earlier, that at the end of the day, narratives are all narratives, and there's just a million different narratives these days that are pumping a lot of these coins. And anyways, but the point is that, yeah, what makes the price go up, as you say, is more buying than selling.
More sell pressure, more buy pressure than sell pressure. And we have that every day in Hex. And it's fascinating that people are so focused on these little penny price moves, and we're literally seeing 2 to 3 times more activity and buys than sells. What that shows is there are still people with big bags that are able to dump on the market, but slowly but surely, we are getting more interest. We are getting more buyers. We are getting more stakers. These are analytics that really show the progression, and it's just going to be a tidal wave when it does take off. It's going to be a wave. Do you think that people selling their Bitcoin for 30 cents ever imagined that it would be where it is today? No, of course not. If they could even
Yeah.
imagine that or fathom that, they wouldn't have sold at 30 cents. They
Peter
wouldn't have.
Schiff said the same thing. He said even if I bought, because he had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at $1, and he said
Yeah.
even if I did, would I have held to the price it was, which was like 39,000 or whatever at the time? Probably
People are
not.
lying. People are literally lying to themselves. Everyone is lying to themselves. If I said Hex was going to be $100, everybody would look at themselves and go in the mirror and they would go, "It will never happen." You don't know that. I don't know that, and you don't know that. You know why? Because the future hasn't happened yet. We don't know. We have to look at probabilities. We have to look at what things have done in the past. We have to make our speculative guesses. But the fact to say it will never go to $100, you can't say that. You know, if you lose the whole vanity metric of market cap and realize that it's an arbitrary number that has really no impact, and you understand that caps are broken all the time. Bitcoin hit $1 trillion market cap. If caps can't be broken, then how did Bitcoin hit $1 trillion market cap? Wasn't it capped at half that before? Yeah, it was. So how did it all of a sudden double its market cap if market caps can't be broken? It doesn't make sense, right? So the thing is, we lie to ourselves. If we say, let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Let's say Hex hits $1. Okay? Half of the people are going to say, no, it's going to be a long time. No. They talk themselves out of it. You know why the price doesn't hit $1? Because none of you believe it. You know when it does? When people believe it does. When people say, my Hex is worth $1 and I'm not selling it for a discount, that's when it hits $1. So as long as we don't believe it, it's not going to happen. Okay? And just like Bitcoin people selling their Bitcoin for 30 cents, if you would have told them back then that it was going to be $100, they would have laughed at you. And these were the main people that were participating in Bitcoin. Well, what causes them to laugh at you? Because they're not able to see that far in the future to visualize that these things were possible. And at the time, nothing had ever done anything like that. So that's what makes it so fantastic, is we do have an example of something that was the first thing to do unreasonable things, absolutely unreasonable things for the first time in history that don't make any sense whatsoever, and you can't logic it out no matter how hard you try. And the people that were the most biggest believers in it still wouldn't have conceived of it ever reaching the price levels that it did. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten off the boat. Okay? But they did. They got off the boat. Why? Because they could not conceive it. And I'm telling you right now, Hex can do things that are beyond our imagination. Beyond our imagination. We are not creative enough to imagine what it can actually do. And as a result, most of us will sell before it ever hits those levels, and new people coming in will accept that as the new normal, right?
True.
How much does it cost for a pack of cigarettes now? What? $10 for like a pack of cigarettes? I don't know. Okay, so when I was a smoker, it cost me $1.75. I expected when I went into the gas station that it was going to be $1.75. Okay. Now it's $10. Okay. Whatever. Levels change. That becomes the new normal. When it was $1.75 a pack, I would say I would never spend $10 on a pack. Okay. Guess what people do? Why? Because it becomes a new level of normal. Milk. I mean, you can pick anything, right? Milk. Maybe, once upon a time it was like 5 cents. Not in my time, but I mean, it was 5 cents for half a gallon of milk, right? Now, you're paying $3, right? So new levels become normalized. People expect to pay certain prices. That's part of the thing of the perception of value. Perception of value is a very interesting concept, right? If you underprice something, people think something's wrong with it.
You were telling me about this with your masks. Share the math story.
Yeah. A lot of people think something is wrong with Hex because it's cheap. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
People think something's wrong with Hex because it's cheap. It's about the same price as a meme coin. It's cheap. When it goes to higher levels, people will buy more. Why? Because perception of value. Why did Michael Saylor wait for Bitcoin to hit $30,000 before he decided to buy any? Perception of value.
Mm-hmm.
When it was below $30,000, he didn't see that it had a value. But like Richard says, oh, he loves it now.
Yeah.
He loves it now that it's over $30,000. He loves it now. 50 cents, didn't want it. $30,000, sign me up. And that is the perception of value. So I'll give you an example, okay? So Bran wants to hear the math story. So early on in my career, I ran production and I had like 400 masks ready to go and ready to sell. I was going to go to my trade show. I was going to go to my convention and I was going to outsell everybody there. Absolutely everybody. I was going to outsell them. That was my goal, right? And how was I going to do this? I was going to do this because I was going to underprice my masks. I had them on site. Nobody had to order them. They got their mask in hand that day, and I was going to undercut everybody's price. So I literally went in there with 400 masks, and I had them set up for $35 a piece, which was $15 under market value, okay? And I was sitting next to people that had overpriced pieces, people that had masks that were $200, $300, right? I was sitting across from Hollywood artists that had pieces that were $600. And I had masks setting on my desk for $35. So through the convention, people would come and they pick it up and they're like, oh, this is really cool, right? How much is it? And I'd say $35. And they'd pick it up, they'd be holding it, and they'd set it back down and they'd walk away. I was thinking to myself, you cheap ass, you know, I got mad, right? And this happened over and over and over again, right? I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, these people are so cheap. It's like, look, this dude's selling for 200, this dude's selling for 300, and this guy over here, he's a Hollywood guy, $600 a piece. Look, I'm giving this stuff away. So finally, I get through the whole convention after everybody's been picking it up and setting it back down. And this last guy, I tell him the price, and he starts to set it back down, and he pulls it back to himself, and he looks at it again, and he goes, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, oh my God, epiphany moment, right? And you know, here I am, I'm like hyperspastic because this is my first convention. It is an utter failure of a convention, okay? And this guy says, what's wrong with it? I go, dude, what's wrong with it is I'm trying to sell these masks. I've got 400 of them underneath the counter. I want $35. I'm practically giving them away, and people have been picking them up and putting them down all damn day, and I can't sell a damn one. I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's made out of the same material as everybody else's. It's just I've got a lot of them, and I thought maybe I would sell them if I marked them down at another price. He goes, sold, hands me the money, right?
Yeah.
And here I went through this whole convention not realizing that underpricing what I had to offer made it too good to be true. The perception of value, because it was so underpriced, people did not value it. And Hex has the same problem right now. When we're in pennies, nobody really values it. They're like, it's just pennies. And then it's going to be just dollars. When we get to $10, nobody's going to hardly notice a 50-cent move. When we're in pennies, we drop a penny, everybody freaking notices, okay? And a 5-cent move is neither a pump or a dump. You understand that? Follow me here. A 5-cent move is not a pump or a dump, no matter what they tell you. You know why? Because we are so undervalued that size of a move can happen like that, okay? One sale could double us. One sale could double us. Our liquidity is so tight that judging 5-cent moves and trying to judge your sentiment based on 5-cent moves is insane.
God will prove that.
At dollars. You should
Sorry
be
to
looking
interrupt,
at
but
dollars. Go ahead.
The God will prove that. Like you said, you know, literally you could double in one. Freaking that 10,000 ETH. What was it? April 2020? Double the price.
Never been back. Never been back. And this is why I say, look, you can stop off at the gift shop and look at the shiny objects if you want, but make sure you get back on the train. Because when it takes off, you're going to be left in the gift shop chasing shiny objects. You know, you don't have to get off the bus. The point is you want to be on it when it gets to its destination. If you try to get in and out, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught in the gift shop looking at shiny objects when the bus leaves, and you're going to have to hurry up to catch the next bus to catch up, because that's how it's going to go. It's going to go. When it goes, plain and simple. And those people that are waiting for a penny or two difference in price are going to be just like the ones that were looking for a tenth of a penny or a 100th of a penny move, back in the day. We stayed at 0.033 or 0.0033 for a very long time. Okay. Mm-hmm. Have we been back there? No. Are we going back there? No. So we've hit a different point of time where eventually these prices become normalized. People expect to pay this amount of price or more, and it becomes normalized. That's what happens at these levels. Psychologically, that's what happens at these levels. People are used to opening up their market ranking site and seeing Hex at these particular levels. They don't notice until there's a substantial move, because they become used to seeing Hex at 15 cents. Hex is at 15 cents. And then they go, oh my God, Hex is at $1. What the hell happened? I don't understand. Oh my God, it's going up. Let me buy. Let me get on here. I got to buy. I got to buy right now. Because the dollar becomes normalized, right? Mm. For the longest time, 0.0033 was normalized. Mm. People don't know that. People were like really waiting for that fraction of a cent dip. It's got to come down just a fraction of a cent. I need that. You should have been buying it at a penny. Who cares? Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you know the final destination, where it plans to be, why are you getting in and off of the bus when you know where the bus is going? You just increase your probability of getting left behind. And the best part is, the longer you sit in your seat, the more yield you make. You're literally being paid to sit in your seat on the bus and enjoy the ride. But instead, people want to get in and out. And what it is they are doing the same thing they've always done. This is how it's done. This is how it's always been done. You got to have an exit strategy. You got to sell high and buy low, and you got to in and out. That's how you make your profit. It's how it's always been done. That's what they're doing. That's the exact same thing. They have not matured. They don't realize that the game has changed, that there are other ways of doing things. And those things include staking, yield farming, validating. All of these things that are coming up are new ways to make money that don't require the level of risk of missing your bus. Okay? You don't need to miss your bus anymore. You don't need to play these archaic games. You don't need to panic the market in order to get a better buy price. You just buy and the price goes up. You don't need to panic everybody. You don't need to, a lot of the game is manipulation. It's telling people one thing and doing the opposite. And a lot of people are trained to do that. It's playing the old games. Go ahead, Bran. I'm done ranting.
Nice to see you, Chad. No, Johnny, you're definitely right. And once again, don't interrupt Johnny when he's on a roll, right? Because you were just spitting such knowledge bombs there. Well, and it's true. I mean, and here's the thing, like you mentioned, the 0.033 and how many people were coming, because there's always people during a bull run that are interested. They've got they've got excitement, FOMO and stuff like that. But then let me just ask one question. Whatever the top was most recently in this current market cycle, we've experienced many, but how many of those people bought at 50 cents, something like that, but won't see, what is it? Value is what you get, price is what you pay. And so how many of those people either sold already or don't see 13, 14 cents, whatever it is now, as a, hey, it's the same damn coin. You're just able to buy more of it. And someone like yourself, I mean, obviously, I remember those diamond videos that you talked about where it's like you got them for the price of marbles, but even though they're diamonds, you think that they're marbles because you have like a unit bias. And so many of those people that you mentioned, same thing happened with Bitcoin, where Bitcoin was a penny and they don't realize that it's valuable until, like you said, $30,000.
Because we can't conceive of those levels. So Hex can go to levels that we cannot conceive. We need to accept that. You need to accept that Hex can go to levels that you cannot conceive. And one of your people are going to chat and they're going to screw with me and they're going to say Hex to $1 million. But the thing is, it's going to go to levels that we don't really believe are possible. Okay. And you guys type in, if somebody types $1 million, you don't believe that's possible.
You have to say $1 million and then do the
yeah, they do $1 million. Yeah. They don't believe that either. So I mean, it's one thing to make statements that yourself you don't believe, but I'm telling you, it's just like, look, think about the level that you would immediately buy Hex for. If Hex dropped down to a certain level, you'd remortgage your house, you'd sell your car, and you would start buying Hex. Imagine what is that level that would make you want to do that? And then come to the realization that number is unachievable. That level that you think that you would dump everything in, that level will never happen, because if you believe that level you would go through all this extent in order to buy it, then everybody else would probably buy it before you even had a chance to do it. So those levels that you would immediately buy are unachievable. So if you're thinking, oh, it's going to go down to this level, I know it. And when it does, I'm going to buy it all up. Those levels are probably not achievable. And on the same note, the levels that you believe are unimaginable, or it can't go up that high because there's too much supply or the market cap or blah, blah, blah. On the same note there, did Bitcoin start with $1 trillion market cap, folks? Did it?
Negatory.
Did it even have $1 trillion market cap when it was at $20,000? No, it was half that. It was $500,000. If market cap can't be broken, then how could Bitcoin 3 times its market cap if market cap cannot be broken? It went from $20,000 to $69,000. Plus, there are more coins in circulation. So by market cap, it over 3x'd its market cap. So can Hex 3x its market cap over the next 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Totally.
Does that not seem possible that Hex could 3x its market cap? That's not really a market cap now, is it? Market cap is a current limiting factor. It's an idea in a person's head of what has been achieved so far. Gary did that thing about the 4-minute mile, right? You remember that video for the 4-minute mile?
I was just watching my interview with him the other day, like from January something 2021. Yeah. Great thing.
So here's how that works. You want to explain it? You could explain it.
You do it. You're on a roll, man. Shit. This is a rarity, man.
So the 4-minute mile, okay, this is why this was so important that Gary expressed this. And shout out to Gary for sharing it with us, because this was just such a beautiful analogy. For the longest time, nobody was ever to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Okay. It was thought to be absolutely unachievable, beyond the limitations of human capacity to outrun a 4-minute mile. Okay. Unbelievable. If you could do this, this was the holy grail, right? Well, guess what? Somebody did it. Guess what happened after somebody did it? Other people did it. Kids were able to do it.
Hell yeah.
Why? Because it was known at that point that it could be done. Before that point, nobody thought to try to achieve that. Most people would just say, oh, that'll never happen, because it had not been done yet. Once it was known that it could be done, now you can look it up and you can see all kinds of people setting records for the 4-minute mile. Okay. And that is because it is now a known. See, we spend a lot of time on what we don't know, right? And the basic function of human nature is we fear what we don't understand and we attack what we fear. It goes all the way back to cavemen. Okay. And it still is here today. People are like, oh, well, that doesn't work anymore. That goes back to cavemen. That was back when cavemen were protecting their villages and stuff, and an animal came up, they club it over the head. Right. Right. And that instinct is still in us. Let me take a cell phone back 200 years. You know what would happen to me if I took a cell phone back 200 years?
Burn you at the
They'd
stake.
strap me to a stake and they'd burn me and they'd say, he's a witch! He's a witch! If I were to take this phone back just 50 years, the government would have me bagged and tagged and handcuffed and stuffed in some black site because they would say, he's got to be an alien. Look at this technology he has. He's an alien. And I'd be interrogated by the men in black. So look, guys, things change. Things change. And we have to understand and accept that things change. We have to accept that things can be beyond our comprehension, or the fact that we're able to see what they can do in the future, because we're not there yet. We haven't made it to that point in time yet to change our opinion. That is the whole point of speculation, is trying to figure out what something may do in the future. But in all actuality, some things can do. Nobody imagined that Amazon was going to be 50% of all internet commerce. If you knew that, wouldn't you have Amazon stock? Right?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
If you knew that, maybe you would have built a competitive company and maybe you'd own 50% of internet commerce, right? So we don't know how things are going to turn out till they do. What we do know is whether or not we choose to get on that bus and take the ride. That's all. It's all about probabilities. And possibilities are not beyond, the possibilities are generally beyond our comprehension.
That's exactly right.
And that's the hard part for us to understand. If it's beyond your comprehension, how are you supposed to comprehend it? You can't. So most people don't make that trip because it's beyond their comprehension. But look, when we've got examples like Bitcoin doing unimaginable things, and we now have something like Hex that has way more behind it than Bitcoin ever did in its first 2 years. Bitcoin didn't have 80 influencers out there sharing and spreading the word, going out and talking to everybody that they know. Bitcoin didn't have a tour group touring 40 states. We didn't have the internet like we have the internet now. We had bulletin board systems. Okay. We didn't have direct communication. This talking to you right now on screen, this is new, right? Back in the 1950s, there was a show called Dick Tracy. And in that show, he had a watch with a screen on it, which is basically an Apple Watch. That was unfathomable back then. We've got Apple Watches now, right? And you could have video conference on your Apple Watch now. It's literally Dick Tracy's freaking thing from the 1950s, but we have it now. But when they thought about it, when they came up with the concept of it, it was inconceivable how anything could possibly be made that does this thing. Yet here we are doing it today. It was conceivable. It was achievable.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. This is why I say we're limited. If we can imagine that something can be done, it probably can be done. Given the right effort being applied, it can be done. It's hard to imagine. That's kind of my mental experiment. I try to imagine things that are absolutely impossible. It's the Alice in Wonderland.
I love it.
thing. I try to imagine 3 impossible things, right? You know, it's like, you know, and her thing was like, rabbits can talk, blah, 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 you know, but in Wonderland, these things were real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think rabbits are going to talk. Maybe that's a little inconceivable, but I mean, it's like, again, trying to think of things that cannot happen in this reality is difficult, because eventually, given the time, given the effort, we can make these things happen. They do become reality. Again, nobody thought anybody was going to buy Pet Rocks, but they did. Nobody thought anybody was going to buy Doge, but they did. Okay, so I don't see. First of all, if Doge can go up to 74 cents, 80 cents, Hex should totally be 84, 74 cents right now.
Yeah,
that is absolutely
undervalued.
ridiculous that it's not, right?
Yep.
So if people are like, oh, it's overpriced, or I'm going to wait for more of a dip, well, good luck with that. I hope you're on the bus when it gets to the final destination. You probably won't be, because the levels of price are going to get where you're not able to conceive it happening. You're going to fudge yourself out. You're going to tell yourself, it's done. It's all it's going to do. Why did Bitcoin die 400 times? Yeah. You understand that? Yep. Bitcoin died 400 times. Look at Bitcoin obituaries. That is why Crypto Coffee made a Hex obituaries page, because Bitcoin died 400 times. People said, this is it. It's over. It's never going to go any higher. It's not going to do any better ever. They could not conceive it. And these are the people that actually followed Bitcoin at the time. These were the true believers that were saying these things. You understand? That you had to be a true believer to even know what Bitcoin was. So these were the true believers that were bailing out. And this is a historical record of these people bailing out and how they felt at the time when it happened. And it's happening all over again. And people who do not understand and study history are doomed to repeat it. You're repeating it. You're repeating it. If you're selling your Hex for pennies, you're repeating it. I'm telling you, God, you're repeating it. Go ahead, Brand.
It's so true.
Stop.
No.
You're going to put me right on the freaking screen.
No, it's well, and yeah, once again, shout out to Crypto Coffee. What a amazing guy he is, and quite talented. I mean, this is part of the I love the burial services. But anyways, this is the hex-obituaries.com. This is the crypto clown part, and I don't think it's all the way updated right, because obviously there's just so many times that it's
that boy is busy and partying and enjoying the good life right now. Let him have it. He's done a lot of hard work for the community. He has put out all kinds of demos and stuff that are really easy to understand. He breaks things down in such wonderful ways. You know, I mean, you know, Brand, this is why I'm here, because, you know, our community has all these really intelligent people. It's worth coming out to talk to them.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude, Rock Edison, who I had on stream last night, he had said that he's been on the internet since like 34 years. And same thing. It wasn't until the Hex community that he had done the same thing. So that's saying something, man. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, other than promoting my own products and stuff like that, and doing stuff that I had to for the sake of self-promotion sort of stuff, I always hated self-promotion. Self-promotion is something that just really just irks me, right? Especially in my industry, we got a lot of people that have mediocre skills that are running YouTube channels, and they're getting lots of clicks, and maybe they're not giving people the best knowledge or the best examples. They're wrong all the time. And it's just like, I don't even want to be associated with that, right? So I didn't even want to make videos or do anything involving what I do. And a lot of my knowledge, you know, I build things that other people don't, and I don't really necessarily want to share that knowledge with them. So I'm used to being a behind the scenes guy myself. I never had any intention in ever coming out and speaking about a cryptocurrency ever. But
same.
because of all the false information and all the, I just felt like people were being herded like cattle, and they were being lied to. And I felt like in a way people were being bullied. So I just can't stand by and watch people get bullied. And it just made me angry. I mean, now I'm able to kind of relax a little bit because, the bullies are not out in force anymore. But I mean, literally everybody ganged up on Richard right from the start. I'm like, oh, no, this is not going to happen here. You guys, I don't even know why you're sharing the same stage with him. You guys have no valid information. You're literally talking in circles. You are so full of garbage. It's like, no. I'm not going to have this. And I'm not going to have people tuning into these people because they have a bunch of followers and just take that as value. That's another thing, right? We were talking about money or having money as being an indicator of whether or not a person's successful. People will look at those follower accounts too, and they use that as currency. That is currency. They say, okay, this guy's got 1 million followers. He must know what he's talking about. That's not true. Those followers can be purchased, number one. Number two, people forget to unsubscribe from your account. Maybe they followed you when you were talking, like when you're talking about predicting what's happening in a bull market, say you birth your channel in a bull market, and you can literally throw a dart at a dartboard, pick any coin and say it's going up. You are literally the guy that is standing in the rain while the other people are just in the house saying, yeah, it's going to rain today. Look, open the door. See, I told you it was going to rain. I mean, literally, that's all they're doing is they're just opening the door and pointing you in the right direction and telling you that that's what's going to happen because it's already what is happening. And then they look like geniuses. So people will follow them. And then because they get followers, the algorithms pick up and then it goes. And then people forget to unsubscribe. Maybe they don't even watch them. So that's why their engagement is really low. Their engagement is low. They don't get like, 100 followers, watching their streams consistently. Okay. They don't do live streams where they're actually communicating and interacting with their audience and able to ask questions on the fly. They do their edited content. And they do their edited content. Why? Because they can't be challenged. They can't be challenged on their content. That's what's important. The live streaming stuff that's going on now has been largely brought to you by the Hex community. The level it's gone, all the interaction, the multi-streams, the 24-hour streams, where we've got like 10 people up on a page. When did Ethereum ever have 10 people up on a page? We really started this digital meetups thing going on here. We really did. It really goes back to Hexo and starting that 24-hour stream where everybody was just stopping in, Yeah,
that was cool.
I see a lot of people replicating us. When I see a lot of people replicating us, I see CZ using some of our lingo. I've seen him use our lingo. Same. A matter of fact, the other day, he talked about being a Binancean. He literally quoted Richard verbatim about selling himself a token for $1 and having 1 trillion tokens and why market cap doesn't matter. He quoted Richard verbatim. He owns CoinMarketCap and he knows that market cap is a bullshit metric. Watch what CZ says. You think he's not listening to us? He's not acknowledging us because if he does, he knows he's going to get his process server. Okay. But again, he is listening. He is using some of our own lingo. A matter of fact, I thought it was really funny that he was complaining about Binance not being listed on something. That was the best thing yet. Oh, well, why didn't you mention this coin? I really wanted to chime in and say, so how's the gatekeeping feel, CZ? Not fair when you get gatekept now, is it?
It's true, man. And you're right that kind of, Richard's talked about that all the time, but you're right that like these people, as far as like the crypto people and stuff, they're not his peers, like you mentioned, as far as, quality and in comparison, like just nothing compares. And that's why he's always constantly slaying when it comes to, bring your heroes here to die and stuff. And I love that you also mentioned that kind of like, nothing's achievable until it is type of deal as far as like the flying and all this other stuff. And I mean, Hex did the same damn thing. I forget who I was talking to, but you and I both remember Hex.com saying 10,000x in under 2.5 years is what this is designed to do.
Oh my God, he would never do 10,000x. It's just not possible. Oh my God, no, would never do that. But we did.
Who's laughing now? Hexagons are, so you know. Beat
And
it.
people are like, oh, but it's down now. Okay, what if it does another 10,000x? Then what? Oh, it's not achievable now. Really? Really? It's not? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that beyond your level of conceivable levels? Yeah. So
It's
was
true, man.
10,000x the first time. And Richard says this all the time, but see, you know, he gives people more credit. He gives people more credit than they deserve. He's like, Bitcoin did 7 million X. Do you know what 7 million X is? No, Richard. They don't know what 7 million X is. They don't understand what 7 million X is. It is not conceivable. Even though it did it, they still don't understand what 7 million X is. That's not even a fathomable number for them. It's the same thing. People are having difficulty. They can't even register. Their brain shuts off. They see 10,000x or they see 38% and their brain shuts off. It's gone. They don't understand those numbers. Those numbers are beyond their comprehension. Their brain just shuts off and they go, scam, scam, scam.
Well, it's true, man. And like you mentioned about that 6.9 million X. And the crazy thing about that is what Hex is at right now, which is, you know, sub-dollar and stuff. But Richard's given, you know, credit
10,000 times
like,
what? 10,000 times what? Equal, what do we got to go up to 7 million X? What does Hex have to do? Actually, we're what, at 2,400 X right now? So how many more times can we go up?
Up and to the right, baby.
How many more times can we go up? What factor is that? X's times X's? Thousands of X's times X's of potential ceiling room. I mean, really, is it the product or is it the packaging? Really? If you buy a hammer at Harbor Freight, or you can buy a hammer at Lowe's. The Lowe's hammer is $25, and the Harbor Freight hammer is $2. Do they both do the job? Yes. Are you buying the hammer because it's a high-end collectible and it's special and you like to look at it and you like to pay the extra price for it and you like to tell everybody, look at my $2,500 hammer? Buy Bitcoin. If you want the hammer that gets the job done just as well for a lesser price, go get your Harbor Freight hammer. It does the same damn job. In fact, what if it does a better job? What if it has more features? What if your hammer that you got at Harbor Freight has a nail setter? What if the one you bought at Lowe's and you overpaid $25 for doesn't? What if the other hammer, the hammer that you overpaid for doesn't have a claw? What if the hammer that you bought at Harbor Freight for has a claw? Okay? Hex has more features than Bitcoin. It does everything that Bitcoin does. The only thing it doesn't do that is Bitcoin is it has its brand recognition. It's got a different picture. It does everything Bitcoin does. It's available in more places. It has a send and receive function just like Bitcoin. The difference is Hex has a list of features that Bitcoin can't do. It's got the claw. It's got the nail setter. And it's cheaper. So in what world, when you have a choice between two products, one that has all the features, one that's overpriced, and one is underpriced, has all the features, which one do you select? Only in the crypto space do people think that their opinions matter.
True.
Reality is consumers come in and they see features and they see what a product does and they choose what it does. Choose which one they want to participate in. Your opinion of what coin you think is better has nothing to do with other people's point, you know, what they think is better, what they find useful, right? You know, with the layer 2 solution, There's no Hedron for Bitcoin.
Mm.
There's no staker app for Bitcoin. Okay. Right. So think about this. What coin has all these features? Does Bitcoin have a truth engine? Does Bitcoin pay holders to hold it? No. Bitcoin doesn't do any of these things. Bitcoin is the wheel. We built the car. Okay. Bitcoin is the wheel. We've built the car. Yes, we've got it figured out. We know how this thing works. Okay. We knew how to take the wheel and put it on a car. And we keep adding features to that car. What has Bitcoin added? Bitcoin is not any different, really, than when you were mining it at 50 cents. The difference is now is the price. The difference now is people are willing to pay a higher price as a result of a higher perceived value. You can try this experiment, right? So you can go to a party and set cups of water there, right? And have everybody run up and start buying at $10, right? Buying these cups at $10, right? And then somebody is going to walk up and buy one of those cups to find out what the hell is going on. In fact, multiple people might do it. And it might take them some time to figure out that they just bought water.
Yeah.
Because that's how people act. People don't want to be the first. And they're more likely to be the last. You know, they follow the trend, right? So Bitcoin, I feel, has become kind of a rich man's collectible, something for bragging rights, an exclusivity club. You know, back in the day when I was in school, half a century ago, they used to have these things called members-only jackets. It was this cheap-ass piece of shit vinyl bullshit jacket that had a little logo right here in the corner, and it said members only. Okay? And then we had Guess jeans. Guess jeans were a type of jeans that had this little logo with a triangle and a little question mark in the middle of it, and you had to have Guess jeans. We had all this branding stuff going on, right? So you have to have this brand to be acceptable. Okay? It's the same thing, kind of like the Louis Vuitton for the rich people. You know, it's a recognizable thing. You have to be at a certain status level to own this thing. And that's what Bitcoin's kind of sort of become. But here's the thing, right? So fine, it's a rich man's collectible, but you know what? You're not going to gain adoption that way. Why? Because the average person can't afford it. The average person doesn't need it. It's not going to help the average person. This whole we're going to save countries from themselves, and we're going to help third world countries. Look, these people are living you know, in the sand. You know, they're not running around with computers and internet access. This is not going to save any foreign world countries. This is a rich man's collectible and a vanity metric. It's no different than a Rolex on your wrist. Yes, good news is there is always a market for people that have a lot of money and they want to show it off and they want to brag about overpaying for things because they can. Yes, the good news is there will always be a market for that. But if you want life-changing impact on individuals who don't have savings accounts, who are trying to scrape day to day and be able to save a little bit of money here and there, then Hex is probably the better tool for that. And unfortunately, Ethereum has made it to the point with their gas fees that Hex has not been usable in the way that it should be, right? When that is why Richard is straightening this out with Pulse, is because he had to. He had to. It would have never happened. If Ethereum would have controlled their gas fees and gave a shit about their users, Richard would have never had to step in and create a fork. Okay? He told them point blank, right from the very beginning, do your shit right. If it starts to suck, I'm going to fork it. Fair warning. Fair warning from the very beginning. If you guys do not want to take care of your users, I will. And he is. And that's why he's building. People are like, oh, he's making another coin. It's another money grab. No, he could have walked away at Hex. He could have said, He could have walked right away at Hex, right? Look, it's an Ethereum problem. It's not a Hex problem. Sorry about the gas fees, guys. Go take that up with Vitalik. He would have been perfectly within his rights to do that. Okay?
Exactly.
He would have been, he made the complete product. The product runs its function. The problem is the network that it runs on is charging excessive fees. But what did he do? What did he do? Did he say, okay, guys, I'm going to do a crowd fund? No. He said, I'm forking Ethereum. I'm hiring devs. And then eventually you got a sacrifice phase to allow you to participate in it. But he forked all that money out in advance. He forked that money out in advance. He's working with those devs all the time. You know why he's not streaming? Because he's working.
Exactly.
He's not streaming because he's working. He wants this thing to hit. Well, it's a money grab, blah, blah, blah. Richard, dude, he made plenty enough money with just Hex. He didn't have to do Ethereum. He could have walked away at any point in time. He didn't have to fork it. He didn't have to build an exchange. But you know what? He wants. People don't understand this concept, right? Everything's got to be about money. Everything's got to be about money when you don't have any other skills. Okay? Mm-hmm. Some people build shit to build it. Okay? I got a dragon that I've got in my cave out here. All right, yeah, that I built. So cool. It's a 6-foot dragon head. Did I build it to sell it? No. Why did I build it? Because I can. Richard is building a better network because he can. Now, can I sell my dragon? Yeah, I can sell it if somebody gives me the right price for it, but I ain't planning on selling it. I didn't build it to sell it. What I built it for was to show people that I could. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing Richard's doing. That's the same thing Richard's doing. It's the exact same thing. Look, he's doing this because he can. He's doing this because somebody has to. Vitalik does not give a shit about his users. I'll say this one more time. Vitalik does not give a shit about his users. You got that? Is it in there? He doesn't. Oh, maybe we'll have Ethereum 2.0 in 6 years. Yeah, it should be achievable by then. What about all the people that locked up their Ethereum for Ethereum 2.0?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Hey, guys, you Ethereum guys making fun of staking your Hex for 5 years, guess what? You're staked for 6. And I hope they don't lose your keys between now and then, because with Hex, you hold your keys. With your Ethereum, you had to send it to somebody else. And I hope to God, when you go back to collect your Ethereum, it's there. Good luck with that. Shouldn't have been making fun of us. Should have been listening. All right, Bran, quit zooming in on me.
It's true, man. It's there's such valid points, and like you mentioned, that as far as the Wright brothers with, you know, flight and stuff like this, that there are so many people, kind of like you talk about, that were naysaying until it happened. And then now we're all using it. And, oh, you know, aren't we so grateful for this technology? But someone like Richard's very similar to that too, where you mentioned with Bitcoin, all you can really do is mine it, send it, or receive it. It's, you know, it is a pet rock.
And it's a rich man's collectible, and it's a status symbol, and it's something to brag about overpaying for. And you got to keep in mind, right? So when people say, oh, I want to do what this rich guy does, you are setting yourself up for failure. Okay. And Hexicans have done the same thing. Richard can buy $1 million watches. He has billions. Okay. Richard, with just the Pulsex sacrifice and the PulseChain sacrifice, would have to spend $1 million a week to run out of money in 40 years. And that is just what we know that he has access to. He could ask to spend $1 million a week for 40 years to run out of the money that he has raised. Okay? On a concept. Because really at this point, it is a concept. It's not out. It's not anything that even exists yet. We're not talking about the fact that he retired, the fact that he sold a $60 million business back in the day. We're not talking about what he did with that funds to reinvest it. We're not talking about the fact that he was mining 50 Bitcoin blocks by himself 2-3 times a day. Well, at least 2 times a day, right? He said up to 2 times a day that he was able to mine 50 Bitcoin blocks. Can you do the math? Can you do the math in 365 days? He did not need to necessarily sell his Bitcoin. He sold his fiat for the electricity that he was using. Okay. He didn't necessarily sell his Bitcoin. He did not sell his Bitcoin. You know how I know he didn't sell his Bitcoin? You want to know? He did an interview with Ivan. And when Bitcoin went up to $20,000, he didn't sell. And he was mad at himself because he called the top.
Yeah,
he knew the top was in, but he didn't sell. And he wrote it all the way back down. And he was frustrated, and he had a tear coming out of his eye. He was sincerely frustrated with himself because he knew it was the top. He called the top, and he still didn't sell his Bitcoin then. So what does that mean? Well, he called the top again. I bet you some of that money went in there. I bet you that he didn't make that same mistake twice, because Richard's a smart dude and he learns from his mistakes.
Yeah, true.
And I bet you there is probably a very large reserve of money that we have no idea about, that is probably more than enough for him to never sell a Hex, a Pulse, or a Pulsex ever, and still even if he did, yeah, I don't even know, man. It's hard to imagine. Just the sacrifice money alone is $1 million a week for the next 40 years.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
some
I can't even
perspective right there.
imagine. I can't even imagine about the money. So it's really actually funny. They're like, well, Michael Saylor has more money than everybody here. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. But you know what? This is the thing, though, right? This is not about Richard, how rich he is. All right. People were calling him a broke pleb because they're not getting the panoramic of the freaking castle that he lives in. He's only broadcasting from a room.
Yep.
Right? He's not showing you everything that he has. In fact, he's just bringing stuff into the screen to show you. I find it really funny when he's like, "Oh, you want to see shoes? Let me go grab some shoes." You know, I mean, it's there. It's like he lives in a damn shopping mall or some shit. People are like, "Oh, you're broke. You lost all your money in Bitcoin." No, he didn't. Dude, he was so mad at himself. He was so mad at himself for not selling at 20K. It was hilarious, you know, to hear people say that. But they don't follow all history. They just frame things into a narrative that suits their need, because it's all about generating following. It's all about being important, right? People want to feel important more than they want to be successful. And I think that's a fatal flaw.
It's true.
Jim Rat, you still on? Yeah, Bran made the fatal mistake of sending me a link.
No, not at all. If anything, the the opportunity, right? Because once again, it's been a long time since you and I have streamed before and stuff. And anyways, I always like the conversation, especially from because I've got perspective, but most of the time my streams are just solo. And so when we can get other people that have been there since the beginning, like you as well, it just really kind of puts perspective.
Beginning of what time?
Yeah, right. Dinosaur.
Was there an old joke there?
No, beginning of Hex, and so yeah, people they see, all they're seeing is the current cycle on even V2, not even V1 Hex, what is it? Uniswap.hex.vision. And so it really is that perspective that someone like Richard, I mean, what did he say? That he bought Bitcoin at like 30, he made the $30 top and then it went down to 2. He's got perspective of all of these years later, Bitcoin being so expensive. And so a lot of us have that same thing with Hex. And thank God that we've got the staking function, right? Because it does save yourself from yourself. Because otherwise, a lot of people would have sold more early. I promise.
And they still emergency unstake, and they're still nuking themselves, right? So, like, literally, I think that at 7.5 years, we're going to have a mass emergency unstaking. Most people that are staking for 15 years, they're never going to make it. Mm-hmm. They're never going to make it. That's why it's like, look, I got stakes at 8 years, because I know at 8 years I'm going to get a big ass payout year 8, because I know I just know human nature. It's hard to fathom, right? When things slow down, people are compelled to action. They feel that they need to do something, right? Staying in a state of inactivity doesn't feel natural for us, right? So, like I said, I could stop doing my business, but then I wouldn't feel like me. Technically, I've done all I need to do at this point, really, but I have a need to create. I need to be selective about what I create, but I have a need to create. If I don't create, then I'm not being me. So people feel that they need to take action in order to make money. They don't realize that the only action that the government does is create a zero.
Yeah, like you said,
they don't understand. That's where the money comes from. The money comes from digital zeros. That's where it actually comes from. You just get to choose where you want your digital zeros to come from. And I'm at 5% battery power, and I've held you up for 3 damn hours. Holy shit.
Well, dude,
I don't think they're gonna let me on the stage at the HexCon, man. I might have to take a full day with chaos seminar going on there or some shit.
I love it, dude, and I know a lot of us love it as well. Because once again, you've got people like Mark saying, maybe it was someone else saying like, oh yeah, it was Mark. Best stream I've heard in months, and Johnny Hex Yoda, and good stream, and once again, just spitting the facts and the truth and stuff, and especially at times when people might be uncertain or they might not know. We know where Hex is going, and I know Richard does too. And anyways, it's awesome to have you on stream. I know it had been such a long time, and we're gonna have to do it again soon. I mean, I'm gonna be in Vegas too, so would love.
And you got my number, because see, you got the text. Now you got to save it so you know that it's me. It's so weird to have like 20 millionaires on speed dial right now. That's such a weird thing, isn't it?
It's cool, dude. And to think that like this is still the beginning, like I say that all the time, but people don't freaking understand. Like it is. And so anyways, many more millionaires to be created in the future and minted. So,
and a lot of people, that became Bitcoin millionaires, they spent, hundreds of Bitcoin for a Lamborghini, thousands of Bitcoin for a Lamborghini very soon, and that's just how these phases work. So study history, look at the Bitcoin obituaries, read the words they were saying. We are privileged to have something that did come before us, that experienced the same kind of resistance, the same kind of adversity, and we can see how it triumphed, how it developed, how it grew. We've got a history book right there on it, right? And the haters are going to say, Hex isn't Bitcoin, and I'm going to say that's right. It's not. It's newer. It has more features. It has way more behind it than Bitcoin ever did its first 2 years. So no, Hex is not Bitcoin. Hex isn't trying to be Bitcoin. Hex is trying to be something else. And it's succeeding. It just takes time. So thank you so much, Bran, for having me on. I'm going to go. I got like 5% left on my battery. I'm about to get rug pulled anyway. We will get up. Take care, man.
Sounds good. Thank you, Johnny. Bye. All right, everyone. Well, we're going to end it right here. Once again, I'll have Alex with Hedron on, and it's Hedron, like tetrahedron, not Hedron, whatever. Anyways, we'll have him on one of these days and get some of the questions answered and once again, help out as much as we can. Before I do the outro, let me just say what's up to everyone. Got one of the bros in here. You've been streaming for such a long time, Bran. Good work, bro. Good work to you, brother. Okay, well, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to keep everyone longer. It's already been such a long time. So we're going to do the outro. Much love, everyone, and see y'all next time.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Stake that, stake that, stake that, stake that. jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.